Alright guys, we should be live now. Welcome to, I think, what is this episode? Yeah, episode 16 of Press X Podcast. Thank you guys for being here right now. I always appreciate those of you who show up early. Appreciate everybody who shows up. Some of you guys are saying that you were seeing video but no sound. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if YouTube kind of changed some stuff up. Normally what happens is the video comes up with the sound and then I press go live and then that's when you guys start to see everything. But I noticed that YouTube, I don't know, something with the Stream Deck seems to be a little bit different right now. I don't know if it's just on my end or whatever, but anyway, welcome guys to the podcast. We already have over 400 people here watching, almost 500, which is awesome. So the first thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is to make sure you hit the like button. It helps the podcast out tremendously, and you guys have just been showing amazing support here week over week. Honestly, really helping elevate this podcast to, in my opinion, a whole nother level that I never really thought could be possible. But here we are. So thank you guys. As you can see, we have the member credits roll, as I told you guys. This is something I'm going to try to do week over week with the channel. You're probably seeing God of War footage right now, which actually wasn't supposed to happen. Probably because I didn't actually... give me 1 second to fix that. I forgot to put it on loop. There's just so many different things to... There we go. Alright, should be back up. Apologize for that. There's just so many different things to keep track of. It's so easy to lose track. But, yeah, we have some really awesome topics today. And what I want to say before I go over the topics we're going to be discussing is, I don't know about you guys, but it really seems like we are getting to that point. And I'm saying this because the excitement levels are starting to reach a new height, and I guess all I want to say is that I think in the next couple of weeks we're going to have some really, really, really big things happening, not just here on the channel, but just in gaming in general. And I guess all I really want to say is I hope that all of our expectations, or almost all of our realistic expectations, are met. And so I'm very much looking forward to, I always look forward to the podcast. I always look forward to creating content for you guys. But I'm really looking forward to what the next couple of weeks, what the next couple of months are going to be like. Because I just, we don't know what the future of console generations is going to look like after this generation. I don't want to, speculate upon that because we really just don't know what it's going to be like. What I will say is that the chances of the next console generation being as traditional as we hope it to be, probably not that likely. So that, I guess, ultimately what I'm just trying to say is I just think that the next couple of months are going to be a really special time for gamers, especially those of us who are very much into console gaming and stuff like that. So I just wanted to kind of say that in the beginning here because it's just really been on my mind lately. I've been looking at the support that you guys have been showing on the channel recently, and you can just tell that people are ready to go, man. And yeah, good times await. So we have a pretty good slate of topics here. I think we usually have some pretty solid topics week over week. The first thing we're going to be talking about is something that, to be completely honest, we've been talking about a lot here on the channel, but it's just going to be something we continue to discuss because it seems like the conversation changes pretty much every single day, and it has to do with the upcoming PS5 event, right? Like, it's going to happen literally within the next, 10 to 14 days at some point. And so I just really want to talk more about this. I want to talk about some of the other stuff that has actually come out here recently where it really is starting to seem as though this Silent Hill reboot that we have been talking about for some time now is a real thing. It's actually going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and it will be revealed at some point before the end of the year. we're talking about that. We're also talking a little bit about Gran Turismo 7 apparently leaking out in a really funny way, I guess you could say. We're also going to be talking more about the PlayStation 5 hardware and how it seems that we have more and more individuals coming out here as we get closer to the actual reveal of this console and the launch of it, coming out here and talking very, very positively about what Sony is doing, calling it a breakthrough, and just really kind of praising the work that Mark Cerny has done with this console. And we have some prominent industry figures. Last week we talked about Tim Sweeney, and this week we also have John Carmack actually coming out here and weighing in, and there's also just been a myriad of other developers saying very positive things as well. So we're just going to take some time to focus in on that again. I was also made aware of a video done by an actual game engineer. I don't have their channel name in front of me. I don't know their name, unfortunately, but they just put out their first part of their reaction to Mark Cerny's deep dive. Apparently, this individual used to be a game developer for EA, and based off of the way they reacted so far, what we've seen, they seem very, very impressed and very surprised about the stuff that Mark Cerny was talking about. So that's pretty cool as well. We are talking also about Microsoft's June event, because it seems as though Microsoft really does have a plan to talk about new next-gen related stuff month over month. This is what they announced with the Xbox 2020 stuff. And so I just kind of want to take some time to talk about that and give my thoughts on what we can expect to see there. And then we're also talking, and this is probably going to make for one of, not that I'm not saying that these topics I just listed aren't interesting, but I think this is going to make for a more interesting topic. It has to do with Ghost of Tsushima, apparently, according to some people across the internet, right? Because it always has to happen, getting some kind of massive graphical downgrade. And I have some thoughts on that, definitely some stuff I want to say about that. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about The Last of Us 2, because we have some new things that have been announced about it, some new things that have been revealed that I think are worth maybe talking about. Obviously, it'll be spoiler-free, and I hope you guys can respect that in the chat and try to keep it spoiler-free as well. And finally, we'll be cleaning up with just some general game news, as we usually do towards the end of the podcast. So, I hope you guys are looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a good time. So, diving right into it here, let me actually just switch over so you guys can start to see the gameplay. I have more God of War gameplay in the background. This is really my second time playing through the game, and all I'm going to say, because I want to save most of what I want to say, I want to save it, obviously, for the, the MBG and Friends Game Club that we're going to be doing, but what I will say is that I've been diving a lot deeper into God of War than I did my first playthrough, and I'm finding it just a lot, like, there's just a lot more to the game than I originally thought there was, which really surprised me. So, yeah, enjoy that God of War gameplay in the background. But starting off here with topic number 1, we are going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 event. So, the PlayStation 5 event seems to be right around the corner, and gamers are very clearly pumped up about it. We learned recently, if these sources are to be believed, that the event will focus heavily on first, second, and third-party exclusives, but there will still be third-party games as well, just apparently not as many. Apparently the reason for this is due to Sony only wanting to show off games that are running on actual PS5 hardware and not PC. Not only that, but Silent Hill at this point seems all but confirmed, and Gran Turismo 7 has seemingly leaked out thanks to a company that makes peripherals for racing games. So we're going to talk about that. We have JV Rod. Thank you so much, buddy, for your support here. You're saying you really love the credits intro. Keep up the amazing work, bro. Let me know if you're still interested in a particular collector's edition. Yeah, JV Rod, I will have to eventually get back to you on that. I'm still a little bit unsure of what I'm going to be doing about that, but nonetheless, dude, I really do appreciate your support here on the channel, and I'm glad you do like the credits intro, because a little bit of work definitely goes into that. And I wanted to just make sure it's there for my members. So also I do want to, that reminds me, I forgot to say this at the intro, for any of my members or people who just became members within the past like 24 hours, if you don't see your name on that list, don't worry about it, don't sweat it. It takes some time to update, so next week and every week going beyond that you remain a member, you will see it. We also have MH, you're saying the YouTuber is called The Cherno. Yeah, thank you, MH. I was, it lost me there. But also, I want to thank my mods right now because it seems like they're putting in some work. Thank you guys for being on top of the chat and helping keep it as clean as you possibly can. I really appreciate that. I know it's not easy sometimes. So thank you guys so much. You're doing a great job. But, I know that we're kind of just rehashing stuff I've talked about in the past week. But, we usually do that during the podcast. But I just find this incredibly interesting. Something I do want to take a moment here to talk about that I actually didn't talk about in any of my videos this past week has to do with June 2nd. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because Jeff Grubb, I'm sure all of you basically know who this is by this point, but for those who don't, Jeff Grubb I think he works for VentureBeat or GamesBeat, and he is a journalist, and he clearly has some inside track and inside info on some people. So it seems that he is coming out here and letting us know that on June 2nd, we are going to be getting what he's calling a picture of Mel Gibson. He's just calling it Mel Gibson Picture Day. And at first I didn't really think anything of this, but I started to see people kind of mentioning what this could be and trying to put it together. And it seems to me that people have kind of put together the idea that when he's saying Mel Gibson picture, if you Google, and I don't know how anybody came across this, but clearly what Jeff Grubb was doing here was supposed to be, it was supposed to be very hard to guess, very hard for people to figure out, but what people have seemingly put together is that if you Google Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, yes, the original Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, if you go down to releases, it actually explains that Mel Gibson's likeness was actually originally used apparently for Snake or something along those lines. And, it's since been updated, but people were putting this together saying that this is him teasing that there's going to be some type of Metal Gear Solid announcement, maybe like a remake or something. And I just had to take a moment to mention this because I would freak out if that turned out to be true. I would be absolutely over the moon if that turned out to be true. I don't know if I believe that. That is a really, really, really ultra subtle hint that Jeff Grubb gave, if that is in fact it. And it also makes me wonder how likely this is and who would be doing it, simply because we know that Silent Hill is apparently also a real thing. We have Mr. Hamster, you're saying, so I forgot my keys when I went outside at 2 a.m. this week, and MBG told me to pray to Sony. So I say the prayer to Sony, then the door suddenly opens. Thanks, MBG. Just kidding, I got locked out for 20 hours. Damn, Mr. Hamster, I'm really sorry to hear that. I actually, I didn't really know what else to say, so I just said maybe pray to Sony. I don't know, buddy, but I'm sorry to hear that you got locked out for so long, but I'm glad that everything is okay now. So maybe next time if you ask me for advice, I'll try to give actually more practical advice, so I apologize for that, but I appreciate that, buddy. Let's see here. So when it comes to the whole June 2nd thing, I don't know what to expect from this, guys. I really don't know if that's actually what Jeff Grubb is hinting at. I don't even, even if it is, I don't necessarily know if that has anything to do with PlayStation directly or if it's associated with PlayStation. A lot of people are assuming that Bluepoint Games is working on some type of Metal Gear Solid remake or something along those lines, but it just seems very unlikely to me that that's the case. I think it's kind of, I don't want to say it's obvious, but all signs point to, hold on here, guys. All right. There we go. All signs are pointing to... I'm losing my train of thought here. This is the downside of having my chat right in front of me. But all signs are basically pointing to Blue Point Games working on a Demon's Souls remake. And there are a lot of people who are thinking maybe they're working on more than one project. Well, I don't want to say that that isn't possible. I just don't think that's likely. And so we do know that they worked previously on Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 Remastered and Peace Walker. So maybe there is a chance that, maybe they could be. But either way, I don't know what to expect from this June 2nd Mel Gibson picture thing. I would be absolutely shocked if somehow it is Metal Gear Solid related. All I know is that I would be very happy if it was Metal Gear Solid related, because to be completely honest with you guys, I feel like Metal Gear Solid, those games, the mainline games, more than any other series, deserve some type of remake, remaster, anything at this point. I don't think we're going to be getting anything else from Metal Gear. I like something new or fresh, but yeah. So I see here, Christopher, you're saying some idiot is spoiling in the chat. MEG, yeah, I know. I apologize about that. I'm trying my best to contain the chat and control it. And we also have Mr. Hamster and Junior Jackson. They're trying their best. I'm just grateful to have mods here right now, because if there weren't any, I don't know what I'd be doing. But I apologize for that. There's really not much I can do about it. There's just some people who clearly have nothing better to do with their lives than to just, show up to a podcast here and try to ruin it for other people. So, mods, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you guys so much for, again, trying to contain everything, and we'll just try to keep it going here. So, yeah, I'll try my best to, as we're going along here, without, detracting too much, to do what I can as well. Let me see here. We'll just hide them. I'm just going to try to nip some things on the bud here myself. MBG may have to start playing the mod game as well a little bit here. But either way, guys, my first question is, do we think Sony opting to have less of a third-party presence at their events or at this upcoming event is because they... we know that it's because they want to show gameplay running on the PS5 so they can avoid saying it's running, we're showing you this is on PC, but, we're basically trying to optimize it for the PS5. Do we think that's actually a good thing? I mean, to be completely honest, guys, I do think it's a very good thing. I've talked about this a lot. We've talked about how the idea of Sony deciding that they want to make sure that the games they show off at this PS5 event, regardless of what games they may be or how many of them end up being there, how many of them are first-party exclusives, second-party exclusives, third-party exclusives, or just third-party games in general, they want to make sure that they don't have to use the disclaimer, you're seeing this in-engine on PC, but it's being optimized for PS5. They want to ensure that what they show off is actually running on native PS5 hardware. I think I speak for most of us when I say I think that's a good thing. If we end up seeing less third-party games because of that, I'm actually completely okay with that, and I'm totally happy about that because, it's not about the quantity. I want to see... first of all, I want to see the exclusive games. I want to see Sony's first, second-party, and third-party exclusives. But, we all want to see some third parties as well. But it's just the problem then becomes, does Sony potentially run the risk of, by doing this, maybe having less to show? And what will the result be? And this is where we're going to talk more about this in depth as we go further into... this week. We're going to talk more about what our realistic expectations are from, from this event that's coming up. But we have Mr. Hamster here saying, is there a way to ban them forever? Some guys creating multiple accounts and keep spamming spoilers. To be honest, I know I can on my end. I just don't know... I don't actually know if you guys have that ability, and frankly, I don't even know if I can give you that ability. I could try to check it out here real quick, see if it's possible. Yeah, I don't have the ability to do that live right now. However, I can do that on my end. So I'll just try to, I'll try to keep up with that. And again, guys, I apologize if the chat is just a complete mess because there's just people who have to try to ruin it for others. They just have to troll. So just do what you can, mods. It's totally okay if you can't keep up with it because people just find their interesting, I guess, and creative ways to, to make it hard. So I will do my best. But yeah, I think that's the big question that people have at this point is how big, how exciting is this event going to be? I wrote down here, what are our expectations from this event? Are we expecting a massive event with just a ton of games? Will it be smaller than we think, or maybe it won't be so much about the number of games, but the quality of those games revealed and how much raw gameplay we end up seeing? And I think that is a really important question that's being asked right now that, frankly, I don't think anybody has the answer to. I think it just depends on who you ask. There's going to be some people who basically say, there's some people who basically say that they're going to crush it no matter what. It's going to be massive no matter what, and it's just going to blow everybody out, blow them away. And I want to believe that, obviously. I, more than most people, I'm very excited about what Sony's going to show and what's going to be there. But at the same time, I do feel like it's very important for us to always make sure we have our expectations in check, especially with these events, because, this isn't a Mark Cerny deep dive. This isn't an actual, well, as far as we know, it's not a console. It might be a console reveal, but when it comes to the games, it's just so easy to get your expectations ballooned up, right, and just way too big. And I'm not trying to, be a buzzkill or anything. I'm just saying I think that we need to kind of understand that we're not going to see every single game that's going to release over the course of the life cycle of the PlayStation 5 at this event, right? We have JD Gamer, you're saying, what are one game for each platform, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, that we'd like remade? And what genre would you like to see each platform do better at? So I think for Xbox, a remake, I know I expressed that I wouldn't be too excited for it, but I would be generally interested in it, and I don't know, and this is probably because I've never played the games in the past, but I would like to see a Perfect Dark remake of some sort or a reboot. I think that would be pretty interesting, and I would like to see it have just a more grounded, or, Fable as well. To be honest, those two, I know that they're both probably going to happen, and they will be reboots or remakes. So for Xbox, that's what I'd like to see. PlayStation, I want to say Metal Gear Solid 1. I'm very much on board with Demon's Souls, but I would be just as maybe even more happy to see Metal Gear Solid 1. And for Nintendo, honestly, I don't know about that. I can't answer that because I really don't know. I can't even put enough thought into that right now to try to answer that question. But what genre would I like to see each platform do better at? Xbox, I just want to see more story-driven stuff, like gritty story-driven, like more, grounded. PlayStation, I would actually like to see them do some more, shooter-type games that are not so much like third-person over the shoulder, just about single-player experience, but just some more multiplayer games in general, while not sacrificing single-player. Nintendo, again, can't really answer that. They do their own thing. I don't think what I have to say about that is even relevant, but we have Zach Miklas, you're saying, how many first-party games would you like to see from both consoles at launch? That's actually a good question. Usually all the questions I get here are really good, but when it comes to how many games I'd like to see from both Sony and Xbox, it's a tough question to answer because I don't really know how much it's about the quantity versus the quality. Like, I would like to say, I'd like to see 2 or 3, but if the quality isn't there for 3 games, then I'd much rather just say I'd be totally okay with just 1 as long as it's high quality. Like, I think with, you say MBG, please take a peek at Tidix Twitter. So that's what you're saying, MH. I'll check that out real quick live as I'm answering this question. It's really difficult to multitask and keep your wits about you. Okay, I will talk about that in just a second because he is putting out some interesting information here. So we'll do this live. F it, we'll do it live. But to answer your question about how many games I'd like to see, excuse me, from Sony, I would like to see 2 games. I think it's okay if we just get 1. But I'm saying that because I think that it would be in Sony's best interest to try to have at least more than 1 offering to entice people. I think they know that. And I just, they have to have different genres that aren't competing with one another. So I would like to see 2 high-quality games. If that ends up being like Demon's Souls and then Gran Turismo 7, that sounds good to me. Or maybe like Demon's Souls and SOCOM or a new Killzone, that also sounds good to me. For Microsoft, I don't know. I'm going to be honest right now. I know people are excited for Halo, and I know that there's a lot of people who look at Halo as the big system seller, and there's no doubt that it is. It's a huge IP for them. It's their biggest. But I don't think Halo is enough to have at the launch of your console at this point. I think it helps tremendously, but I think Xbox more than PlayStation needs something new and fresh, and I don't think another Forza is going to do that either. However, I do think it's very likely that we're going to see Halo and Forza as launch titles, and I think that that's okay. As long as Microsoft shows stuff that's coming down the pipeline that looks new and fresh, I think they'll get away with that. But I would just love to see something completely new and fresh right off the bat at the launch of the Xbox Series X. David, you're saying Xbox, we're sorry we didn't actually show gameplay. Kratos, don't be better. Don't be better. Be sorry. No, don't be sorry. Be better. Mixing it up here. Yeah, it's true, David. I mean, those words from Kratos, probably one of the best quotes ever for anything, but, really, really does apply in this case. We have Ari Pack, you're saying, what do you think Sony can do to make PlayStation Now compete with Game Pass? I think it is competing. I just think it's not competing at the same level because, first of all, Sony hasn't really started marketing Game Pass in a serious way just until the last year, basically, or the last 6 months, actually. And they didn't get serious about it till then, and they've pretty much more than doubled their growth. So I think that what they're doing now is working. I think they could probably continue to cycle in and out some of the older exclusives, and maybe, I know some people don't want to hear this, but maybe in the future, certain single-player games that maybe run their course a little bit more faster. They could probably do that if they really wanted to grow it, but I don't think they should do day and date to compete with Game Pass in that way. I don't think it's necessary. I do want to say, however, that if Sony did decide to do day and date releases with their exclusive first-party games or even second-party games, they would absolutely crush the numbers because, you hear Xbox guys bragging like, oh, Game Pass has 10 million subscribers and PlayStation Now only has a measly 2.2 million. Like, if you don't believe, if you believe for a second that Sony wouldn't crush Microsoft's numbers if they did the same exact thing that Microsoft is doing with day-and-date releases, you're out of your mind because they would. But we have Juan de la Rua. You're saying, I'm afraid Sony doesn't have any exclusive game to show alongside the PS5 or a game that represents its power, and that's why they haven't revealed the console yet. I wouldn't. I think you're wrong, Juan. I mean, I understand where that fear stems from, but I don't think that that's why they haven't shown it. To be completely honest with you, if you look at Sony's track record, they're on pace right now. Like, they're on track for a big June reveal, and I do think that they are going to show, at the very minimum, and again, I know I'm diving into a little bit of what I promised to save for a video, but I'll reveal it here. I think that Sony is going to end up showing at least one game, and if I had to really put my money on which game that would be, I think it's going to be a Horizon Zero Dawn sequel. I think they're going to show at least one game that is truly like getting as close as it possibly can to trying to maximize everything they can get out of just the PS5 hardware and really showcase like this is what it's capable of doing, right? Because you think if you see Demon's Souls and I think Gran Turismo is more going to be like the visual showcase, not so much about like we're reinventing the wheel here, with this hardware. Gran Turismo is going to be the visual showcase. Demon's Souls is going to be like just that game that's going to tap into the nostalgia and get people who are big fans of those action RPGs on board immediately. But it's not, and I think it's going to be a visual showcase as well. But I think, like, in terms of showing a game that's really going to push the limits, I think it's going to be a Horizon sequel. That's just my assumption. But I wouldn't be afraid. I wouldn't have the mindset that this isn't why Sony hasn't revealed it yet, because I just don't think that's true at all. But somebody referred me to Tidix on Twitter. I do follow him. Whether he's an actual insider or not, it's hard to say, but it seems that he does try to actually communicate with people who are in the know. And this is what he put out on Twitter. He said, heard from quite a few people that PlayStation, and I'm assuming by people he's talking about people who are in the know and who would know this stuff for a fact. He says, I heard from quite a few people that PlayStation are planning an announcement next week related to PlayStation 5 and an event to follow within 7 to 10 days after that. So, The thing is, guys, like, I'm not going to lie to you, and this is not a slight at Tidix whatsoever, because I'm sure he does talk to people who are in the know. I don't really talk to people who are in the know. It's just, I don't communicate much with people like that. I don't try to seek it out. I do pay attention to people who are saying things, though, and I take it into account. I think that is a very, and actually he put a follow-up here as well. He said, as you all know, PlayStation are extremely dynamic in these times because of everything that's happening right now. So it can change at any time. If I hear anything like that, I will let you know immediately. So, very interesting. This is what Tidix is saying. He just tweeted this out. And to me, that sounds plausible. I'm going to talk more about that in a second, but we have Sir Holmes here. You're saying Sony has Movie Plus, Music Plus, Game Studios. These people work together. That's why Sony has been winning for so long. Yeah, that's true. They do have a lot of different departments underneath Sony that they all have their own specialization, I guess. They all have their own areas that they specialize in, and they can kind of work together. And it seems like Sony's been working even harder lately to try to make that a reality, where they kind of want a more cohesive company. They want everything to kind of flow more smoothly from branch to branch and allowing people to kind of help in different areas. So I do agree with that. Let me take a sip of my tea here. I did bring my tea this time, so that way maybe it helps my throat a little bit. Because as most of you know, week over week, I always end up blowing out my freaking voice by the end of these things. Probably because I just get so worked up. But we have iSkyler18, or iSkyler. I think I've been calling you iSkyler this whole time. iSkyler18. Apologize if I've been messing up your name all these weeks. You say I think the trend of slightly above average launch titles will continue for the most part, even with Sony. They can't top their own Last of Us 2, Final Fantasy VII, and Ghost of Tsushima this year, in my opinion. You do bring up a good point. There's no doubt that those three games you just listed that are ending the PS4's life cycle are going to be hard to beat with launch titles, because launch titles traditionally have been known to be a little bit less impactful. And for people who wonder why this is, the reason for that is because Sony knows that the early adopters, and the same goes for Microsoft, are going to be there day one within the first couple months, usually within the first 6 months to a year. So they kind of save their big hitters, like the big system seller games, for when they need them, for when the initial sales window starts to slow down. And that's kind of why they decide to do that. And so I don't want to say that Sony's lineup has the potential of being weak, because I feel like I don't feel like that's the right way to word it. I think what you can expect is some lower, like, I guess the best way to put it is titles that are very good and will get people excited, especially PlayStation enthusiasts and gamers. But I think they're gonna show off big games, like the big system seller games, but they're not going to be ready to launch until like a year later, or within a year, maybe 2 years, maybe even 3 years. Like, I think Sony's definitely going to show stuff that's in the pipeline, just like Microsoft will, but they're not going to be there at launch. Again, I think like having a Demon's Souls at launch is absolutely perfect. That's smart, because to me that's exciting. I think to a lot of other people that's also very exciting, but it's not like it's not like groundbreaking, right? Like this isn't like, it's not comparable to the next God of War or Horizon or a new IP from Naughty Dog or some studio like that. And having something like Gran Turismo, it's great. A lot of people will like that, but it's not mind blowing, right? Like it's to be kind of expected. Knack 3, who knows? Who knows? We have Chris B. Also, maybe like a new Crash Bandicoot game as well. Partnering with Activision as a timed exclusive. That's another very plausible launch title. So I do agree with you there. Chris B., you're saying Sony is only 2 or so months behind their 2013 PS4 launch playbook. I wouldn't worry too much. I do agree with that, Chris B. I think that it's easy to feel like maybe Sony's running behind or lagging behind because of how aggressive Microsoft has been since basically December of last year. But all things considered, if you look at the way they're going right now, it's not really that far off at all compared to how they've done things in the past. I will admit that like they haven't shown any games yet, which is a little bit strange, it seems to me, but I think the reason for that is very obvious, that they have other big games that they have to worry about selling right now on their current console, So appreciate that. We have JD Gamer, you're saying, didn't Tidix say the PS5 is 13.3 T-flops? I don't think that was Tidix. It may have been. I don't think that was, though. I think he was just somebody who was basically saying that, he believes, based off of what he heard, that it's a possibility that the PS5 could be the more powerful console. But I don't think he went on record saying that it was going to be 13.3 T-flops. Unfortunately, it seems like that 13.3 T-flop rumor, that just circulated from people who were literally just making stuff up, and I was just gullible enough to fall for it. And we have a new member. We have Ari Pack. Thank you so much for choosing to support me directly and going above and beyond here. I really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel and look forward to your exclusive member perks. Thank you so much for that. I've been trying to pay attention to the chat here. I don't know if there's still people trolling a lot here. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully you guys can let me know. Mods, let me know how it's going for you. But I really do think that Sony, at this point in time, they have a lot of momentum going for them. They've already had a lot of momentum, in my opinion, going for them because we're, transitioning from the PS4 to the PS5. The PS4 was such a massive hit. They've had such amazing games, and people expect a lot of sequels to these games as well as new stuff, that I just think the momentum is already there. However, I do think that what has happened in the last week has also added a significant amount of momentum with the Unreal Engine 5 demo, the Ghost of Tsushima gameplay, just to kind of continue getting PlayStation fans excited and giving them something to be excited about. We have Alien Tenno, you're saying, I call it now, SOCOM reboot incoming. I hope you're right. To be honest, guys, I'm interested to see what the chat has to say about this. Do you think I'm really far off the mark if I assume that Sony will announce Guerrilla Games? They have a second team that is working on some type of first-person shooter. I don't know what it could be exactly. I don't know if it could be a SOCOM reboot. That's what I heard. I think Tidix is actually the one who mentioned that. They said that from what they've heard, the last they heard of it anyway, is that the second team, the second Guerrilla Games team, they are actually working on a SOCOM reboot. But it could be another Killzone, or it could be a new IP. Either way, I think it will be some type of first/third-person shooter. Do you think I'm off the mark in assuming that I think maybe Sony will try to have that game ready for the launch of the PS5 to combat what Microsoft is doing with Halo? Microsoft having that big first-person shooter there to sell alongside their new console. Do you think that they're going to want to match them in that way? I feel like they would. But again, that kind of brings up the question, could we see 3 launch titles? Could we see a Demon's Souls remake? Could we see a SOCOM reboot, or maybe a new Killzone, and also Gran Turismo 7? I think it's possible. I think it's possible that all those 3 of those games could. And see, to me though, when I say that out loud, it really makes me feel like I'm getting my expectations out of whack. I'm getting them too high. Is that too unrealistic to expect? I really don't know. I don't want to say that's what I expect because the chances of that seem kind of slim, right? JD Gamer, once again, you're saying it doesn't matter what's in Sony's shows, it will be high quality, and the only thing Sony can do to sell less consoles than Microsoft is screw up the price. Hashtag PS3. Yeah, that to be honest, that does seem like at this point that's really the only thing realistically Sony could really baffle and really screw up big time that would realistically be the reason why they would sell less consoles or end up lagging behind Microsoft. I agree with that. We have Van City 92. You're saying, I believe they hired people from Rainbow Six Siege. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that tells you that they're clearly going for some type of shooter, but because you think about Rainbow Six Siege, and we're not just talking about random people who worked on Rainbow Six Siege. I think they were like some of the higher up there people who, are responsible for the way Rainbow Six Siege turned out. They hired them a while ago. It was like over 2 years ago or 3 years ago at this point, and that does lend certainly some credence to the idea that they're working on some type of shooter that will be based in like modern military, right? So, when you think modern military, when you think Sony, you think SOCOM. So I would love to see that. I would absolutely love to see a SOCOM reboot. I never really played the older SOCOM games, but I'm a big fan of modern military shooters. So, yeah, we have David Gaines here. You're saying Killzone reboot or SOCOM. I'm assuming you're asking me which one I would rather see. And to be completely honest, I would rather see a SOCOM reboot simply because Killzone, nothing against it. It's just never... it's never appealed to me in that way. Not to say that if it was a new Killzone, I wouldn't try it out, because I definitely would. Maybe I'd be surprised by it. But I'm just really into like modern military stuff as well, and modern military shooters. So I would absolutely love to see that from Sony. But I don't know. This is again, I'm gonna have to save this for a video later on. But I just don't know what to realistically expect. I have my own idea of it, but I just feel like nobody really knows exactly what to expect. But to finish up this topic and to highlight what Tidix said here, Tidix said that basically next week, at some point next week, or I guess this week, right, since it's Sunday. See that now I'm a little bit confused because the new week starts on Sunday, so we're already in technically this week, or what would be considered next week. I don't know if the time zone's different where he's at. Also, I do want to let you guys know, I think my neighbor just revved up their lawnmower. So if you hear that in the background, I apologize. Nothing I can really do about it, but it shouldn't come through too loud on the mic. It might, but either way, just think of it as, background noise that you can't do anything about. So, I kind of already expected this. Again, I'm not an insider. I don't have an inside track. I don't have anybody feeding me information who seems to be an insider. But I had this feeling deep down inside that next week, or this week, I should say, sometime in the upcoming work week, I guess we could call it, we were going to get the announcement of the PlayStation 5 event, and it's going to, people are going to lose their minds. And I just have this feeling, because if you think about it, if Sony really is planning on having it in early June, they have to announce it very soon. So whether or not Tidix is on the money because he's being fed this information, or he's just making an educated guess, from where I'm coming from, that was I was already kind of expecting that. That's why I was saving this video that I wanted to make, talking about my most realistic expectations of what we can really expect to see revealed and shown off. That's why I was saving it, because I had a feeling that this upcoming week is when we're going to get that announcement. So, very exciting times, guys. Very exciting times. We have Edgy Clammy, or Cyberpunk Clammy 5. You're saying Sony knows how to showcase stuff that makes you go, oh, now this is next gen, like they did with Killzone Shadowfall. Inside Xbox didn't have one example like that. Yeah, I do agree, Edgy Clammy. I think Sony has proven over the years, but even just in the past 2 weeks, that they know what it takes to get people to go, like you said, wow, this is next gen. And this is where, again, I don't want to get my expectations too high for what we're going to see in the next couple of weeks. But I think, regardless of what I say, I think the general expectation is people expect to be surprised and wowed. And, this is the time for Sony to come out and flex hard and make people go, ooh, I need to buy a PS5. Did you see that? That was awesome, right? This is the time for them to do that. And I think I think when you think about Sony, how self-aware they are, the people who are in charge running it, like, do they understand that? Do they realize that? I think they do. Like, I certainly think they do. How could they not, right? I mean, if we realize this, just being on the outside looking in, we're just enthusiasts. It's not our job to run the company and to get people excited. If we know this, surely they know that. So we have Zach Miklas again. You're saying, what are your thoughts on xCloud? Do you think cloud gaming will work or flop? I think xCloud is fine. I was really kind of hating on it back in 2019 because it just seemed like Microsoft was putting more of an emphasis on xCloud than a lot of other things, and they were really kind of coming off to me as like, oh, this is the future. And at that time in 2019, things were just going so badly for Xbox, and it was just so weak. Their E3 was weak, in my opinion, and I was just frustrated because I started to get nervous that is this Microsoft basically signaling that they're going to kind of give up on console gaming. You know, people called me a fearmonger, but I couldn't help it. I was genuinely curious, or nervous, is Microsoft going to give up on console gaming and just go in for cloud gaming? And then we saw what happened with Google Stadia. In my opinion, Google Stadia is a clear indicator that, yes, cloud gaming will flop, cloud gaming by itself. Cloud gaming, as of right now, and in my opinion, for the foreseeable future, needs to be supplemental. And I think Microsoft got that message loud and clear based off of how effing bad Stadia flopped. I mean, Stadia is not just a normal flop that you see. I mean, Stadia was like a colossal flop that we haven't seen in quite some time. So that tells me right off the bat that cloud gaming is not the future of gaming, and if it ever is going to be the true future of gaming, we are a ways off from that, so I don't think I have to worry about that anytime soon. And I think as long as Microsoft positions xCloud as a supplemental thing to Xbox as a platform, I think that's perfectly fine. In fact, I think that's good. I think that's actually pretty cool, and I've kind of come around to it a little bit, especially seeing how they seemingly do still very much care about console gaming. And I think if Sony tries to do something similar with PlayStation Now, I do expect something like that. I just think Sony may be a little bit, they may take their time to get to that point. But those are my general thoughts on xCloud. We have Alien Tenno. You're saying, would PlayStation 5 speed kill X platforming? I don't know. I don't know about that. To be honest, I don't know what to expect from the PlayStation 5 speed other than that I think we're going to be blown away by it. So, fortunately, I can't go super in-depth with that question. We have Edward Jordan. Thoughts on The Last of Us 2 factions? My just off-the-cuff thoughts are going to have to be, I really hope to see it. I really hope to see it. I would love to see it. I don't know what my feeling... We're going to talk more about The Last of Us 2 later in this episode of the podcast. I don't know what my genuine thoughts are going to be after playing The Last of Us Part 2. We know that Naughty Dog is working on a multiplayer component of some sort. They made it clear that it's going to release sometime after as a standalone product, which I find very interesting. It's going to release sometime after The Last of Us 2 is out. I'm wondering if maybe this is something they could showcase. Who knows? Maybe this is something that they could showcase during this upcoming PS5 event. I would be very excited for that. And I'm excited to see a multiplayer offering from Naughty Dog, a standalone multiplayer offering. I know that there's a lot of people who are just like, no multiplayer, just give me single player only. But I like a healthy balance of both, and you're getting your single player dose, a big dose, with The Last of Us Part 2. And so I'm just going to be very interested to see what The Last of Us standalone factions mode ends up being like. I'm very actually excited for that. So David, you're saying cloud gaming is great. Is a great side project at best. I fully agree with that. Again, Sony, it blows my mind that Sony at some point in time, they actually went on record saying that they were very nervous about Google and Stadia. And I guess they're not nervous anymore, right? And they shouldn't be. And so that's why I was getting nervous myself, because I'm like, oh my God, tell me Google's just going to walk in the door and basically strong arm everybody into being like cloud gaming is the future, and with their Google money. But it turns out that it's not going to be that easy. If you want to convince gamers that cloud gaming is the future, you're going to have to do a hell of a lot better than that, Google. And that's all I have to say about that. But guys, we have spent almost a freaking hour here on the first topic, so we got to get this thing rolling. Let me take another drink here as I look over what the second topic is going to be. I'm going to ask you guys, We have over 1,600 people watching. Thank you guys for being here and hanging out with me. Make sure you hit that like button to help the podcast out. It is literally the easiest way for you to show your support other than just being here. Okay. So let me see here. Second topic, I'm probably not going to spend as much time on this topic simply because we have been talking about this a lot. Before we get into it, we have Dux John 1. You're saying, hi, nice channel, congratulations. Do you think the PS5 reveal will be in the first half of June? That one's tough, honestly, John, because I wouldn't, if I had to give my gut instinct on this, like go with my gut, I'm going to say I don't think Sony's going to reveal the PS5 until July. I don't know why. I just have this feeling that they're just going to showcase games first. Like, we're going to see the exact same rollout that we saw with the PS4, where they're going to show the games first, a taste of the games, except it's going to be much bigger this time around than what we saw in February of 2013 with the PS4. And then they're going to go all in with, like, the console reveal and stuff. I don't know, though. I mean, I could be completely off the mark. That's just my gut feeling, but I would love to be wrong. I would love to see Sony show everything at this June event, but we'll have to wait to see about that. But thank you guys for the super chats so far. Really appreciate that. Moving right along here, seems we are starting to hear from more and more developers that Sony is doing, that what Sony is doing with the PS5's hardware is a breakthrough and very impressive. Last week we heard Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney praising the PS5 up and down and calling out the SSD and the I/O throughput. This was similar to what we've been hearing a lot of smaller developers saying. Now this week we have industry legend John Carmack agreeing with Tim Sweeney and praising the PS5 hardware and what it is capable of. So a couple questions I wrote down here is, how do we feel about the PS5 being less powerful than the Xbox Series X and having less compute units, but instead opting for a much faster SSD with greater throughput? Do we really think developers, both big and small, would constantly be praising the SSD in these consoles and talking about the I/O throughput and bandwidth? Yes, they do talk about the CPU as well, of course, and even sometimes the GPU in these consoles, but it's becoming clear to me that these breakthroughs Sony has made with their new console could potentially change game development from a ground level for studios and developers. Now, I mention this because look, I don't have a problem with Xbox at this point. To be completely honest, my problem anymore lies with the hardcore Xbox fan base, the toxic portion that just, also it seems that at some point here, you may see some points in this gameplay with God of War where I'm idle for some reason. I apologize for that, but my problem, Ed Boon called out the SSD also, MBG. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like at this point, it doesn't surprise me at all to hear any developers at all, like any, talking about the SSD. Like, you can tell this is what the focus is for these developers. And my problem is with the hardcore toxic Xbox fan base that I understand. Believe me, I understand more than most. Like, you want to be excited about your preferred platform. You want to be excited about your preferred console. You want to express that excitement to your people, whether that's on Twitter, YouTube, or even if you're just somebody on Twitter who's just looking to, hype up your favorite thing, that's fine. But you can clearly see that, and you very clearly see this over the past couple of months, that there's just been this kind of, this narrative that has been attempted. And I use the word attempted to be written because, in my opinion, it's not panning out the way they thought it would, where, yes, Microsoft came out, surprised everybody with the Xbox Series X, and it continued to surprise people when we found out that the PS5 was actually, technically, on paper, less powerful. And you just see, these Xbox enthusiasts or fanboys running with it, and I see somebody saying, but you act like PlayStation fans aren't toxic. No, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of toxic PlayStation fans. There's plenty of toxicity to go around. I'm not just saying Xbox is the only platform or brand that has a certain subsection of fans that are toxic. I'm not saying that. They're everywhere. But I guess I seem to focus on these guys more often than not because of, I'm a PlayStation enthusiast, so I end up seeing it a lot more. But you can just very clearly tell that the narrative tried to turn the narrative into, ha, you have the less powerful console. Have fun with your blurry ass crappy games and you're not going to be able to enjoy anything. And you can just tell, like, and I get it. Like, trust me, I get it. You want to flex and you want to be happy. And some people need to express that excitement by making it seem as though power is all that matters for some reason. But I really enjoy, and it puts a smile on my face genuinely to see a lot of developers. At first it was, again, smaller developers and Sony's developers as well. But now we're really starting to see some prominent industry figures saying the exact same things, starting to back up a lot of what these smaller developers have been saying. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to sit here and claim that nothing positive has been said about the Xbox Series X and its hardware and the decisions that Microsoft's engineering team made to go with what they went for, because there has been, for sure. I'm not trying to take anything away from that. I guess I'm not pushing back against Xbox themselves. I'm pushing back against the toxic fan base there that for some reason feels the need to try to downplay everything that PlayStation does. And, they kind of mask it a little bit. We see this, like, they mask it by being like, oh no, Sony does some great things and they have some great games, but let's just face it, the Xbox Series X just stomps the PlayStation 5 when it comes to power. I mean, you can't deny it. And they use the same excuse that I'm using now, where it's like, oh, we're just talking to the toxic PlayStation fan base. But guys, come on. Like, people's true colors and their character ends up shining through. All it just takes is time, right? Like, and I've made my fair share of mistakes. I'm not claiming to be innocent. It's not about that. I try my best to own up to times when I'm basically being a dumbass, right, and delusional and being ridiculous, and I do have a tendency to be that way sometimes, right? Like, even just on Twitter today, I put out a couple tweets that I knew was going to frustrate some Xbox fans. Were they unnecessary? Yeah. Did I need to do that? No. Did I know what I was doing when I did it? Yeah. But I like to think that my greatest strength is that I can at least be honest about it and let you know, like, hey, if I'm trying to troll in this aspect, I'm trying to troll, but right now, I'm not trying to troll anybody. I'm just trying to be real by saying, like, look, you have to call a spade here. And just like you want me and other PlayStation enthusiasts to call the Xbox Series X the most powerful console, fine, it is the most powerful console. And on paper, spec-wise, yeah, there's no denying that. It has more compute units, and it will probably have its own set of advantages. But you simply cannot expect people to do that while also simultaneously you're out here downplaying things that are happening right now, where you see these prominent industry figures like rather than talk about John Carmack, right? Industry legend John Carmack agreeing with Tim Sweeney, talking about the PS5's SSD and the removal of bottlenecks and how this is a very big deal for game development. Rather than talk about that, no, let's focus on the developer of the game Scorn. And no offense to them, no offense to their studio, no offense to the game itself, but I'm sorry, the two are just not comparable. Whose opinion holds more weight? Do I really even need to ask that question? John Carmack's and Tim Sweeney's, or a developer who's working on the game Scorn? Come on. So we have a new member here. We have Blind Archangel. Okay, I apologize. I'm clearly very flustered right now, but Blind Archangel 82, welcome to the channel, buddy. Thank you for becoming a member and going above and beyond and choosing to support me directly. I really do appreciate that. Look forward to your exclusive perks. I look forward to being able to deliver them to you month over month, so thank you for that. But I don't mean to rant here, and I know that some people are like, oh, you're just crying. Like, I'm not crying. I'm just, look, at the end of the day, I think when it comes to the most hardcore fan bases, those who are here for PlayStation, those who are here for Xbox and Nintendo and PC and whatever, we're just gamers at heart. We're just people who want to enjoy games. And, it's just like, this is what passion does to people, and I look, I understand more than most people what passion does to people. Passion can sometimes lead you to be irrational, sometimes even delusional. It can lead you to say some ridiculous things. It can lead you to doing some weird things, and it's out of passion. And not everybody's going to fully understand that. But in my opinion, the most important thing at the end of the day is if you are just honest. And when people are looking at you and saying, like, dude, we get you're passionate, but you sound like a jackass right now, or you're being way over, right? Like, as long as you can take a step back and be like, you know what, you're right. I let my passion get the better of me, and I took something a little bit too far, or I'm being a little bit toxic, I'm being a little bit overly negative, I'm being a little bit extra, whatever. I get like that literally all the time, okay? But I like to think that at this point in time, the thing that really helps me is to understand that that is just my passion, getting the best of me in some cases. And it's important for me to take a step back and acknowledge that. And so that's why I don't have a desire to fight with anybody. Like, I see somebody saying, oh, you're delivering a jab to Dealer Gaming. Like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, I'm only mentioning that because I just saw that there was multiple Xbox-centric YouTube channels talking about that, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying don't make those videos, but there's no doubt that when you look at it, they're making it with a little bit of an intention to, like, oh, look, and I've done it myself. Like, I've done it myself. I can admit that I'm guilty of this, but I've been trying really hard not to dive into that territory too much anymore because it's just not fair. Like, I'm not saying, like, the idea that a developer is saying a positive thing about the PlayStation 5 while simultaneously, like, that automatically means they're saying something negative about the Xbox. Like, they're not. They're just not. That's up to me to determine that for myself. I guess it's just, this is just the nature of competition and people who are enthusiastic and people who are very invested. It's, if people perceive my passion as toxic, then fine. I can't do anything about that other than say, don't pay attention to me. Don't pay attention to what I have to say or my opinions, because why would you? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And people could easily say to me, well, why don't you take your own advice and not pay attention to other people? Well, that's the thing, guys. Like, I have a YouTube channel here. We're very much enthusiastic. Could I run this YouTube channel by not paying attention to anything? Of course I could. But, again, this is where I have to be honest and say I would be lying if I said that I didn't have a little bit of fun from time to time. And in my opinion, like, that is fun to me, is like seeing a group of passionate people get a little bit heated. Not like, I mean, there's no reason to get like overboard with it, right? But just getting a little bit heated, having some debates, going back and forth, it's just, in my opinion, if it's not in the name of fun and it's in the name of something else, then that's when you're entering some weird territory that you might want to back off from. But we have Terrence Williams. You're saying, I'm a PlayStation fan, or I'm a PlayStation man. I don't give two craps about opinions on the games and console. I'm going to buy with my hard-earned money, play what you want to play. And I think that's a good spot where we can end it, where, this little rant I'm doing here, where we do need to just always take a step back at the end of the day and realize that, do what you want to do, man. Like, don't let anybody stop you. If you enjoy what you enjoy and you want to buy what you want to buy and you want to support what you want to support, do it. Don't let anybody else tell you what you should or shouldn't do, because let me tell you something. The most telling thing about a person's character, okay, and I've learned this. I haven't been on this planet for that many years, right? Like, I'm not like some 80-year-old wise monk or anything like that. But if there's one thing I've learned on this planet is you can immediately learn something about somebody when they try to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. Or maybe, see, that's the thing, though, is like people, they do it subtly. Like, they try to, and I've been guilty of this in the past myself, but I've since learned that, like, that's not my place at all. And that's just a dumbass thing for me to do. People who try to tell you what you should or shouldn't do are literally the people you should never listen to. Because there's a big difference between somebody suggesting something and maybe offering their own advice and giving their own opinion that you can kind of evaluate yourself, versus somebody who says, let me tell you why you're going to want to do this. And if you don't do it, well, you're just wrong, or you're dumb, or you're, it's a mistake. Like, you can't listen to those people because they don't even, like, I don't know, they're just not worth listening to. So, I know I'm going on this rant here, but it's only because I noticed that you see this a lot these days, not just with video games, but just on the internet and everywhere in between. At the end of the day, people should do what they want to do, as long as it's not going out of your way to bother other people or hurt them. Then I think just do what you got to do and to make yourself happy. As long as it's not negatively affecting anybody around you, then go for it. So I see people saying like, oh, MBG, you cross the line all the time. You know, look, guys, like, I'm not perfect, and I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect, and I understand. Listen, the day you realize and accept that part of human nature is being hypocritical, life becomes honestly a lot easier for you. Because, you know, it's the same reason why, like, I know it sounds like I'm mad at Xbox fans for saying these things and they sound like hypocrites. Like, I'm not mad, because that's human nature, man. Like, nobody's perfect. Everyone is hypocritical from time to time. But we got to try to learn from it. As Kratos says, be better, right? And that's what we're here. We're all going through life, and we're just trying to get better here. So, yeah, I apologize. I know that this like got way off track, but you know, these things everything is intertwined in this way. You know, you talk about gaming. What is gaming? Gaming is a representation of somebody's passion. It's their art, and we are fans of it, and we get very passionate about it ourselves. And there's just a lot of things that happen. So, great way to end that. Very, very, very wise words from MBG. A lot of things happen. All right, guys. So we're gonna continue on here before I really start sounding like some kind of weirdo, if I don't already. But I wrote down another question here. I said, you know, in regards to the second topic, I just have one question. When exactly did you turn into a play slave fangirl, MBG? Dude, listen, you know what? That's fine. Like, if that's how you want to perceive me, that's perfectly fine. If you want to look at me as a play slave fangirl, the truth is, I turned to PlayStation originally to play games that a lot of people were telling me, dude, these games are really good. You're going to want to play them. And I've ignored it for a long time, and I was like, screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. I was very impressed by these games, but you know what else impressed me? And I'm not trying to offend any other platform or fan base when I say this, so don't take it that way. But something else that truly surprised me over the time that I've embraced PlayStation as a platform the way I have is the fan base surrounding it, like the community. Like, that really surprised me. So, anyway, before this podcast gets way too long, because we have a lot more topics to go through here, another question I brought up is, I want to ask you guys, what do we think the Xbox guys would be saying right now if the roles were reversed? If the PS5 was the more powerful console with the higher T-flop count, right? And the Xbox Series X had less compute units and a lower T-flop count, but the ultra-fast SSD. Would they still be claiming that the SSD isn't going to make that big of a difference? All these things that they say about how, oh, it's just going to result in some slightly better load times, whoop-de-doo. It's not going to be that big of a deal, right? Like, it's not going to be as big of a deal. Like, and do you think that, like, they'd still be... They wouldn't be making videos, or they wouldn't be talking about industry legends like John Carmack and Tim Sweeney? I'm genuinely asking, like, would they not do that? So there you go. I mean, we have Anthony Howard. You're saying, what mechanics in Silent Hill? Story predictions. So yeah, okay. I noticed that some people wanted me earlier to talk about what my predictions are for Silent Hill. To be honest, I don't expect it to be anything like Silent Hills, like the PT demo. I think it's going to be more akin to the classic Silent Hill. Mechanics, I don't know. Like, I just want to see a game that looks like it has the same type of quality level and polish that we see from like Sony's first party games, but it's in the Silent Hill universe. And when it comes to story predictions, I'm going to be real right now. I just want something with some interesting characters, some interesting scenarios, and I want it to be, if anything, if I had to have one single wish about what I want from a Silent Hill reboot that's going to be a PS5 exclusive, I just want it to be a very, very atmospheric game. Like, I feel like that's one of Silent Hill's greatest strengths, is the atmosphere and the tone, and I just feel like if they can get that right, then I'll be happy. But I wanted to see it be like a AAA high quality game with very high production values, just because I feel like it deserves that. So yeah, we are gonna move right along here though, guys. We still have over 1,600 people watching. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. to help the podcast out. It helps it out way more than you guys know. And thank you for your continued support here as we move along. We have Zach Miklis. You're saying, as an Xbox user, I'm super effing impressed with what Mark did with the SSD and happy as a gamer. Xbox wants power and Sony went with speed. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good way of looking at it. Like, that's the thing, is like we get involved in these console war things, but the truth is, like, both consoles are actually really awesome, and I love to see... I'm actually happier to see that we have two different consoles that are doing seemingly two somewhat, I don't want to say very different, but two somewhat different things, where we know that Sony, they're really going all in with the SSD and the speed factor, to whereas Microsoft is going much wider with like raw, like just pure power in more compute units. And I just think that they're both going to have their strengths and weaknesses, and I'd much rather see that than see two consoles that are basically identical to one another. That just would be kind of boring, wouldn't it? So, moving on here to topic number 3. We are talking about Microsoft and how apparently they're going to have a June event. It says apparently Microsoft is planning on doing their own Xbox Series X event sometime in mid-June. I'm hearing June 10th potentially, but the date could move. The event, as of now, is planned to be on the second week of June, and as I said, the exact date as of right now is June 10th, and it could shift. Apparently, this event will focus on the Xbox Series X itself, and Microsoft will reveal more information, including features. We also don't know for sure if this is where Microsoft will reveal the Xbox Series S or Lockhart model. And so, a couple questions I asked here is, do we think this is when Microsoft is actually going to finally reveal the long-rumored Xbox Series S model? Do we expect to see that here? And it seems that the PS5 event is going to be happening before Xbox's June event, right? So they're both happening in June, but it seems like Sony's going to get out ahead of Microsoft. And I just want to ask you guys, I want to ask the live chat, like, how will this impact Microsoft's event? Could Microsoft be making a big mistake by waiting until July to have their big game showcase? Now, I'm asking that last question there because, if this is in fact how it goes down, I made a video talking about this yesterday, but I'll mention it here again. If that is in fact what happens, where we see Sony basically go right out in front of Microsoft, and Sony has a big game showcase, which that's what we're expecting. All signs are saying that what Sony is going to be focusing on with this June show is the games. To whereas what we're hearing from Microsoft's side of the coin is this June event is still going to be more focused on the console itself. That's not to say we wouldn't see any new games announced, because maybe we could. But it's not going to be their big, like, E3-like game showcase. That's going to be saved for July. So I'm just wondering, like, if Sony has a really kick-ass show and they, blow people away and people are very much impressed by everything they saw, and it's just... It's hard. See, this is where the conversation gets so interesting, because it's so hard to gauge, like, how big of an explosion is this really going to be, right? Like, it's just gonna be like a normal explosion, or just like a megaton explosion where all people are going to be talking about, all people are going to be fixated on is, holy shit, did you see the games that Sony announced? Like, is that what it's going to be like? Because if that's what it's going to end up being like, I think Microsoft may have made a huge mistake here in waiting until July. But we also don't know, again, like, what Sony's plans are going to consist of and what Microsoft's are. And another big question is, like, as I said, like, is this where Microsoft is going to reveal the Xbox Series S? And if so, what's that going to be like? We've been talking about this for a while now, and I'm just, like, will it matter? I mean, it's going to look, in my opinion, it's going to look pretty bad for Microsoft if Sony has this game showcase in, like, the first week of June, and they basically, like, surprise the hell out of everybody, or not surprise, but they, like, meet people's expectations, and what they show is, like, very impressive, and people are very excited, and all the talk is surrounding Sony and only Sony and PS5. It's going to look pretty bad if Microsoft rings the bell next, and they're like, oh, wait, hold on, guys. Hold on. We're going next. And I'm telling you, it's going to be another situation where it's just going to be just like May, where if they're going to come out here and be like, let's talk more about the Xbox Series X, like, at that point, people are going to be like, okay, like, we're not like, we want to know more about the console, yeah, but are you going to reveal any games? And if they can't match Sony in that time frame with game announcements, and they're basically going to continue to tell people to wait, I don't care how good their July showcase is, that's not going to be good for them. That's not going to be good, because here's the thing, like, do we really think Sony's going to reveal everything and they're going to talk about every little thing, right, that they have up their sleeve at this June event? No, it's unlikely. They're going to save some stuff, and they're going to save some stuff to trickle out, or at least important details to trickle out later on. That's just what they're going to do. We know that probably they're going to have apparently, according to Jeff Grubb, they're going to have a state of play in early August. So what are they going to show there, right? And I guess I'm just like sitting here wondering, the difference between Sony's June event and Microsoft's June event, and just how significant it's going to be, like how one is going to impact the other. And I just feel that, I feel that no matter what, and I don't want to I feel it's tough for me to say this with confidence, because I don't know what Microsoft has up their sleeve. I don't know what Sony has up their sleeve, but a part of me feels that Sony's showcase is going to be the better showcase. It's going to be the more impactful showcase. Like, it's going to resonate more with people, I think. And I just think that that's going to spell doom for Microsoft potentially if, like, I could see Microsoft maybe even canceling their June event and saying, let's just save this for July and let's do everything at once. I mean, I don't think that that's likely. I think Phil Spencer and Microsoft, they've made it pretty clear that, like, they don't care. Like, they just want to have their events, and they want to trickle out information month over month. They already promised that, and I don't know if that's the smartest way to go about it. I mean, people can complain all they want about how quiet and secretive Sony has been up until this point, but guys, like, what kind of payoff do you think that's going to lead to? You see what I'm saying? Like, this is where I think maybe Sony did make the right decision. Like, yeah, has the wait been a little bit painful at certain times? Yeah. Has it gotten a little bit irritating? Yeah, especially because I know I'm always speculating, but I mean, is it safe for me to assume at this point that we've been waiting for so long and Sony's been so quiet for so long and so secretive that's because they're going to have a lot of shit to show all at one time? Not everything, but a lot. Am I wrong in assuming that? I don't think so. I don't think so. So, I hope that this doesn't backfire on me. Obviously, we're going to be severely disappointed if Sony's showcase doesn't deliver, but we're going to have plenty more to talk about this upcoming week. I promise you, we're going to have plenty more to talk about when it comes to this upcoming PS5 event and even the Microsoft event as well. Guys, we are really reaching that point. As I put it, two Titans are getting ready to clash, and it feels like we're getting ready for the Super Bowl, and our favorite team, is playing in it, and we want to speculate until the big day how it's going to go down, who's going to win, and we're very excited to see the outcome. Although I will say this, like, at the end of the day, I think we're all going to win. I know that sounds cheesy and cliche, but guys, like, it's just exciting as hell, right? Like, it's a new console generation, and regardless of who has the bigger and better showcase, I hope they both do great, and I'm looking forward to both, and you bet your ass I'm going to be live streaming all that, and we're going to have a good time. So I'm just checking out what you guys are saying in the chat right now. Seems like a lot of you guys feel pretty down on Microsoft, thinking that maybe Microsoft really isn't going to have as much as we think. We'll see. I don't know. Like, I know that people get on me because they're like, how can you still give Microsoft the benefit of the doubt? But I have to, because it's like, look, like, Microsoft doesn't have a damn choice at this point. Like, you have to, like, they're back. I know that there's a lot of Xbox fans who laugh at me when I say this, but it's true. Like, their back is against the damn wall when it comes to games, man. And so, like, they have to come out swinging and swinging hard. And whether every punch lands or not isn't relevant, but they just better make sure that when they do land that punch, whether that be one punch or three punches, they better all hit hard, And that's just how it has to be for them. I'm sorry, it just has to be. We have Oliver. You're saying, I don't really care who wins, but Sony is looking good. Yeah. I mean, I agree, dude. Like, I hope they both have a great showing. I hope they both do great, and I hope they both get in some good punches on one another. But It's just like watching a big fight, a big UFC fight, or a big boxing match. Like, nobody wants to see the opponent get knocked out instantly within the first round. Like, that's just boring as hell, right? Like, I mean, yeah, you'll be happy, like, oh, my guy won, but damn, like, that's it, you know? And I want to see him clash. I want to see him go at it, because that's best for us. So, yeah, we are going to move right along here, guys. Again, hit the like button if you haven't already, but we are moving on to topic number 4, and I think this one is going to be interesting. I see Freeze Vamp, you're saying they have Lockhart, the Series S, and that's what you're worried about. I don't know, man. Dude, look, I know it's easy to sit here and say, like, oh, Sony should be really worried that, they should be really worried that, Microsoft may have the Xbox Series S Lockhart, the cheaper model. Like, look, all I'm going to say is if somebody were to say to me that that's going to be what basically allows Microsoft to compete at the same level that Sony is, I'm going to laugh at you, because I don't believe that at all. They're going to need a hell of a lot more than just a cheaper next-gen console to make gamers care and show up in large numbers. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe that's where I'm a little bit delusional because I'm in my enthusiast bubble here, but I just don't see that saving them. I see it helping them, for sure, supplementing their, growth, but making them, helping them match what Sony's been able to achieve so far. I don't know about that. We have the 1B 22,000. Thank you so much for that, buddy. You're saying Microsoft leadership has already stated publicly that their competition is Google, not PlayStation. I truly believe they have no plans to actually beat Sony. They know it's an impossible task. They focused on Game Pass for a reason. You do bring up a very good point here. The 1B, that is a true statement. Phil Spencer did say this, but I guess the reason why it's hard for me to fully believe that is because I've also listened to what Phil Spencer said during podcast Unlocked and how he came off very confident, and he said he feels even better about the decisions they made, and really just kind of making it seem like he feels confident that they can go toe-to-toe with Sony. And he definitely wasn't talking, you could tell he wasn't referring to Google at that time. But also, it's pretty shameful. I'm sure they're not going to say that now, because when you talk about Google being their competition, like, oh, wow, you mean Stadia, the thing that flopped harder than anything we've seen in a long time, that's your competition? That's not good. So I think maybe since then, Phil maybe changed his tune a bit. We're like, oh, no. Sony's still definitely our competition, because at least then it looks like you're trying to compete with somebody at a high level, right? But you could be right, bud. I think that there is maybe a very good chance that Microsoft just simply doesn't care in that sense. Where, like, yeah, maybe they threw in the towel when it comes to trying to actually match Sony, and they realized that, like, if that's ever going to happen, it's a long ways off, and maybe they just kind of believe now at this point, yeah, Game Pass is our future more so than trying to succeed where Sony succeeds. So I don't know. We will find out, but either way, thank you so much for that generous super chat, buddy. Thank you for all the super chats, guys. We have MH once again. You're saying, I will get a PS5 day one. If Xbox wants to sell me a console, show me amazing games. And you bring up, I think, a very relevant point here, that I think that's probably how the majority of gamers feel. Price does matter to a lot of people, but I'm talking about, like, the core gaming audience. It's not all about the price. Like, it really is about the games. I mean, that's the thing. Like, show us the games, Microsoft. I'm telling you. I've been saying it for months now. I've been saying it for years, but now months. It's just like I'm a broken record, but I hope that people remember. Like, I'm just saying this, if Microsoft has a kick-ass game showcase and they, like, blow everybody away, like, I know it's a big if, I sure hope before people go hating on me, if that happens, they remember how much I was rooting for Microsoft. That's not to say I'm going to celebrate if they fail, because I'm not going to celebrate it. I'm actually going to be quite sad. I hope they don't fail. Chris B, once again, you're saying, MBG, do you think they will release the PlayStation 5 controller for sale early, like the PS4 controller? I don't think so. I just don't see that happening, because I just feel like I don't even remember that being a thing. I guess it was, but I just think it's more likely that they're going to release it day and date with the console. And we don't know if the dual... maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think Sony clarified whether or not the DualSense controller can work with the PS4. I don't think it will be able to. I think the DualShock 4 will be able to work with the PS5, but I don't know if they would release it early. I don't honestly remember I honestly don't remember that happening, but yeah, I wish I had a better answer to that question. I'm not anticipating that. But moving on to the next topic here, and I think this one's going to be interesting. We are talking about Ghost of Tsushima and how apparently, according to some individuals across the internet who have expressed their opinions, it sounds as though they believe that Ghost of Tsushima has suffered some kind of massive visual graphical downgrade of some sort. So I wrote down here, some individuals across the internet are claiming that Ghost of Tsushima got some kind of major graphical downgrade. They are saying this after we saw 18 minutes of new gameplay from the latest State of Play. Seems to me that this is yet another Spider-Man puddle situation where you see a game over the course of years, and during development the art style ends up changing to some extent. I'm not saying that there isn't any chance that there couldn't have possibly been some type of downgrade, but what I am saying is that if there was, I sure as hell don't really notice it at all. In fact, after seeing this gameplay, I'm even more impressed with how the game looks, and I think the art style looks fantastic. I think it looks amazing. So I'm highlighting this because it really does feel like another damn Spider-Man puddle situation. Now that puddle situation, that Spider-Man puddle situation was so bad. Enrico, I see you're asking about the Last of Us 2 limited edition. We're going to talk about that next, actually. That's one of the topics. But that situation was so ridiculous and laughable that even at that time I was still hardcore in the Xbox. I still had to make a video basically scratching my head saying, are you guys serious right now? And I have to ask that with Ghost of Tsushima, where it's like, what the hell is wrong with people? This is where I have to rant. Like, I don't understand how anybody could watch that 4K Ghost of Tsushima gameplay and walk away saying, man, that looked terrible. Or that does not look good enough. Like, with Spider-Man, when I saw that puddle situation, I was like, these people are literally out of their goddamn minds. Because I played Spider-Man, and I can tell you that, like, a damn puddle and how it looked before versus how it looked when I finally played the game is the last damn thing that was on my mind when playing that game. The only thing that was on my mind when playing that game was, holy shit, this is an amazing game. This is an awesome freaking game. Potentially the best superhero game I ever played. And something tells me that when I play Ghost of Tsushima, not only am I going to remain impressed with how the game looks, just from an artistic standpoint, but even a graphical standpoint, I'm going to remain impressed by how the game looks. But something tells me I'm also going to be sitting there, not so much fixated on how the damn game looks, but how the damn game plays. It is a video game. And I'm not even damage controlling. I'm just saying, like, you're losing the damn forest for the trees here, people. Seriously, like, you gotta stop. Here I go with my ranting. But, the 1B, 22,000, once again, thank you for your generous donations, buddy. I really do appreciate that. You're saying, I want Microsoft to be better because it keeps Sony on their toes. But if we are speaking honestly, where will the talent come from to produce these games? I don't know of any studios with the talent to match PlayStation's. And I'm assuming you're talking about PlayStation studios and the talent they have. To be honest, dude, I 100% agree with what you're saying here, actually, because when we talk about Microsoft, we talk about wanting them to do better. It's like, oh, that's blasphemy. Hardcore PlayStation enthusiasts wanting Microsoft to do good, wanting Xbox to succeed. Well, that's why, because those of us who understand that in order for Sony to ultimately become better over time, I mean, yes, in many ways, Sony is competing with themselves. There's no doubt about that, not only in sales, but in also, like you said, talent and quality of games. But if we start to see Microsoft do better and even get anywhere close to matching that, that is going to keep Sony on their toes. And it will ensure that they don't have the ability to become complacent. And the risk won't be there for them to become complacent because they can't. Because they have somebody right on their ass, right? So I agree with you there, but you do bring up the question, how will Microsoft produce these stellar games that are going to match the quality of Sony's games without the talent? Well, it is worth noting that it seems that Microsoft has been on a bit of a hiring spree the past couple of years. And it does seem to me that they have certainly hired some significant talent. Now, whether or not that, and honestly, some of that talent has come from Sony's own studios, which is interesting to me, from Naughty Dog, from from stuff like that, from studios like that, and I'm just like, well, I think that's great, but the proof is going to be in the pudding, and so I guess, we'll leave that question. I know it wasn't really so much a question you were asking, but we'll just leave it at, we will see. We will see if Sony or Microsoft is able to match the quality of Sony's games, and if they actually really did hire the proper talent to be able to achieve that in this time frame. So we will find out about that. Again, I'm looking at my God of War gameplay, and there must have been more moments than I realized I forgot to edit out of me just literally sitting there idle. So I apologize for that. We have MDLG are saying, tell them about Crackdown 3. LOL, they nitpick too much. Dude, I mean, that's the thing is like, some of these same people are like looking at Crackdown 3 like, oh, I like Crackdown 3's art style. I actually think that game was underrated in terms of how it looked like. And then they're over here being hard on Ghost of Tsushima. Like, guys, again, I'm not saying that there couldn't have been any type of downgrade whatsoever. I don't know if there was. I'm just being completely honest when I tell you, like, I didn't notice a damn thing. I mean, I don't mean to sound like I'm overhyping a game like Ghost of Tsushima, but if you think for a second that Xbox guys wouldn't kill to have a game like that exclusively on their platform, they're just lying. They're straight up lying. And I've seen some people get so intense about this supposed downgrade that they're like, I'm not buying the game now. This is misleading. Like, oh my God. Okay, please don't buy the game then. Like, geez, like nobody, like, I don't get it, man. Like, I just feel like people are just so damn ungrateful. Like, I don't, it blows my mind every single damn time. It blows my mind that there are just people who can't look at a game like Ghost of Tsushima. Like, nobody's asking you to praise the graphics up, down, left, and right. Right? And, even if there was, I'm not saying there is, I'm just saying even if we did find out there was some type of graphical downgrade, who cares, man? Like, who the hell cares? Like, just play the damn game and enjoy it. It still looks beautiful. It still looks amazing. And I'm just going to have to go in hard here. It still looks a hell of a lot better than the majority of the stuff that's on Xbox and other platforms. So just enjoy it for what it is. Like, again, that is if there was any type of downgrade. I didn't notice anything. Like, again, I watched it in 4K on YouTube. Even then, it's still compressed, but I watched it in 4K, and I was just like, this looks really good, man. It looks really good. So, let me just read off what I wrote down here. I said, so I will ask you guys, I will ask the chat here, for those of you who watched the new Ghost of Tsushima gameplay, specifically in 4K, watching it in its truest form, right? What did you think of it? Did you think, oh, there's some type of downgrade, or that's not impressive, or I expected it to look a lot better, or whatever? Did you guys notice this? Because I don't know. I'm just being completely honest. I say I didn't notice a damn thing other than this game looks awesome to play. I saw some people kind of knocking the animations a little bit, which I can agree with that. I will say that one area where it looks like The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima won't be competing in is, and this is not a knock on Ghost of Tsushima, but you can tell that when you look at the animations in The Last of Us 2, you can tell this is hard to explain because the animation in Ghost of Tsushima, in my opinion, still looks top notch. Like, it still looks very good. But that's just like one area where you can tell there's just a certain level of polish. I don't even know if polish is the word, but they just put a little bit more into the animations of The Last of Us Part 2. Like, they just took it to another level. But again, that's not a knock on Ghost of Tsushima because, listen, a video game is a video game is a video game. Like, the animations could look, they could look not ideal, but if the game's fun to play, I don't care. But even then, again, I was still pretty impressed with Ghost of Tsushima's animations. There was some stuff that looks like maybe it's, like I saw some, like, maybe the enemy AI at one point. I don't know if it was just a glitch, but the truth is, guys, like, no game is perfect, okay? And I'm not trying to make it sound like we expect perfection, because we don't, and nobody should. In fact, I'm arguing against that. I think that we have to be a little bit easier on games and realize that not every game is going to have the same level of polish and quality, and that's okay. They don't necessarily all need the exact same level, or else we'd just get the same game every time. I'm also not advocating for janky games either. I'm not saying that that's acceptable either, or glitchy games. Absolutely not. But we have Mr. Hamster, once again, you're saying, what's more exciting than the PlayStation 5? MBG merch, baby. Yeah, guys, you can look forward to that in the... I want to say in the coming months rather than weeks. I am working on getting some merch stuff up. I just want to... wearing MBG merch will get you bashed at school. Well, I mean, I understand that, there's people who would like to buy merch that's literally just MBG branded, like it's MBG, but I hope to have some other stuff as well. It's a little bit more creative that can appeal to everybody. Like, I know that not everybody's just going to want to buy something with an MBG logo on it, so that's in the works right now. So hopefully we will get to that at some point, and when we do, I will obviously announce it. So look forward to that. But thank you, Mr. Hamster. And so yeah, I just had to take some time to talk a little bit about this supposed Ghost of Tsushima downgrade. I didn't notice a damn thing. My excitement for that game is very high, and I just don't think that, I don't think that when I play this game, I'm going to be thinking to myself, didn't this game look better before? Like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be like, wow, this game looks really freaking good. So... anyway, moving on from that, we are going to talk a little bit about The Last of Us 2 because we have some news here. We have some Last of Us 2 news. Sony revealed a new limited edition PlayStation 4 Pro console, a Last of Us 2 themed DualShock 4 controller, a Last of Us themed official PlayStation headset, and a Last of Us 2... hold on. Freaking people, man. There we go. People just don't, anyway. Yeah, they revealed a PS4 Pro console, DualShock 4 controller, a headset, and can I order an MBG shirt that says, all right, guys, you just might be able to. Stay tuned for that. So, John Doe, you're asking, did I talk about the PS5 breakthrough? I did. We are already past that at this point, but it was more of a rant than anything, so... yeah, we're past that point now. Anyway, keeping along with The Last of Us 2, they also announced or revealed a hard drive that you will be able to use on your PlayStation 4, and all of this stuff is Last of Us 2 themed. And so Naughty Dog also released a video on the official PlayStation YouTube channel where they talk about gameplay, and something they said about it that I found interesting is how apparently the game is so big, according to them, that there are actually some scripted sequences that players may miss, which is interesting, and I have a quote for that. David, you're saying just pre-ordered The Last of Us Part 2. I'm pumped. Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about anything story-related here. I have my thoughts on that, and I will judge it when I play it for myself, but there's no doubt that The Last of Us 2 is a very big game, and speaking from a gameplay perspective, I'm highly impressed, and I am looking forward to experiencing that aspect of it. And we're going to have a lot to say, but one of the quotes here is, in this game, I think this was maybe Anthony Newman who said this, in this game, we've gone so far in making the level design open that there are actually entire story moments, entire combat encounters, full scripted sequences that you may completely miss. The Last of Us Part 2, yeah, this is what Anthony Newman said in the latest look at the sequel. And there are things that we feel like, even though a portion of our player base may never see these things, the fact that when you do encounter them, you feel like you've discovered them, it lends this charm to them and this magic that I think is unique to games that this happened to me because of what I did and the place I explored to. I guess what he's basically trying to say here is that you will be rewarded in this game for going out of your way to try to explore and go off the beaten path, I guess you could say, and you'll find some things that potentially other people will actually miss out on if they choose not to do that. So I do think that's interesting. That definitely intrigues me more so than just it makes me wonder how significant some of these things are that you could encounter in this game that maybe you could end up missing. That's something I'm going to be paying attention to. Also, to give my thoughts on the design of the limited edition PS4 Pro, I think it looks fine. I think it's subtle. It doesn't appeal to me particularly, but then again, this console could look like anything, and because it's a PS4 Pro and I'm looking forward to a PS5, the next limited edition console I may ever buy, if I do end up ever buying one, will be probably a PlayStation 5 limited edition. So I think it looks fine. I think the headset and the DualShock 4 and the hard drive are pretty cool looking as well. So, let me see here. It goes on to say Neil Druckmann previously spoke to IGN about the scope of The Last of Us Part 2's world, saying that depending where you are with the story, we might open things up significantly and say, here are some optional things you can go explore, some side stories, or you can go directly next to where you're meant to go. But that's a big goal for the team. Was not to simply pad out the experience. It's not padded. It's that it has that pacing of the first game, and that's basically what it's saying. And again, this is stuff that has me interested. Where I'm gonna be in, like, that's one thing I've noticed with God of War. Now that I'm playing it a second time, I noticed that I've decided to actually do much more exploring in God of War the second time around, and I'm actually quite surprised at how much stuff I actually missed my first playthrough, and I'm just very surprised at how much stuff there is to discover off the beaten path. So I'm always for that, as long as it doesn't feel like excess filler or padding. That always gets me excited for games. Voki 1000, thank you for that. And so, going on here, it says the latest look at the sequel also offered some more details about the upgrade system. Returning to The Last of Us Part 2 is the ability to modify weapons and upgrade the character's skills. And Anthony Newman explained, and to kind of exemplify this idea, that the characters and players have to live with their choices, and you won't be able to upgrade everything in one go. Now, this is what he said: we put a much stronger emphasis on the importance of the choices you make in the long term for your character. Through the weapon upgrade system, through the player upgrade systems, there aren't enough resources in a single playthrough to fully upgrade your character. The choices that you make, you're going to have to live with, and we wanted to make sure that all those choices that you made had a really noticeable and tangible impact on the way that you play. Now, a side note I put here that I find interesting, and I just kind of wanted to bring up this question, is Naughty Dog seems to be putting a big emphasis on the idea of choices and decision making when you play the game. And I'm wondering how deep this really goes. Now, obviously, what we're going over here, he's referring to player upgrades, like skills and stuff, skill points. He's referring to weapon upgrades. But this is something we've been hearing that kind of surrounds the Last of Us Part 2. And am I insinuating that could they potentially be hinting at actual story choices you make that have an impact on the story and the direction it goes in? It's possible. It's possible. I'm not anticipating that. I just, anytime I hear that, it kind of makes me start to think about that. So, I don't know. We will see about that. But I guess I will ask the chat, do you plan to buy any of the Last of Us 2 themed PlayStation 4 accessories or the PS4 Pro? What did you think about it? Is that something you plan on picking up? And I just, when it comes to The Last of Us, guys, I don't have much else to say that I haven't already said. I will do my best, obviously, to keep you updated with any more significant information that we get about the game as we get closer to the launch. But I thought that the stuff we went over is pretty significant, definitely pretty revealing, and honestly, it does get me excited about the game once again, because putting everything else aside, as I said before, the game from a gameplay level, just a gameplay standpoint, looks phenomenal. It definitely looks like leagues above a lot of other stuff in terms of just how polished it is. And I'm going to be interested to see how I'm left feeling once I finally actually get to experience what it feels like to play The Last of Us 2. How different does it feel compared to 1? How much better does it feel? And how does it feel compared to other games? Because it's been quite some time since we play, since The Last of Us 1 came out. So from a gameplay standpoint, I'm all ears when listening to what Naughty Dog has to say. I kind of don't really care too much about what they have to say about the story, simply because at this point I've already made the decision that, I'll experience the story for myself, and I'll see, I'll see how it leaves me feeling once I experience it. But all right, we are moving right along here, and we are at the final topic for the podcast today, which the final topic is always dedicated to random game news and info, because I feel like one of the things that I don't know if you've noticed this recently, I'm sure you have, something I've been trying to do more often, and with these podcasts to add more value to them. It does require more work, but I don't mind it because it's interesting stuff, and I think it's just useful. I want to try to make this podcast more informative, so at the very least, maybe people who feel like they walked away with just hearing me mainly rant and stuff like that. I know people enjoy that, but again, another damn screen where I am idle on God of War. I need to figure out what the hell's going on with my gameplay here. We have iSiler18. You're saying, what bothers me... okay. What bothers me is that the physique of a certain character that was shown years ago wasn't a problem until now. I'll be getting the limited edition controller, by the way. I know what you're talking about, and all I'm going to say about that is... I think... I remember that people were talking about this character's physique at that time as well. They weren't talking about it as much because we had no clue the role that this character was going to play in the game. I will say that I have looked at comparisons between what we saw then and what we see now, and there's no doubt that some enhancements have been made. Some changes have been made. Maybe not that significant, but they're definitely there. But I understand what you're saying, iSiler18. Again, it's murky territory right now, gray area, spoiler territory potentially, so I'm not going to say any more on the fact. I do appreciate your super chats, but we're going to have to save that for when the game's out. And guys, like, look, my greatest hope, and I'll end this with The Last of Us 2 before we move on. I just hope that when I play The Last of Us 2, when I talk about it on the channel, it can just be a good conversation. I guess is all I'm trying to say. Like, I know there's been so much controversy surrounding the game, and when I heard Troy Baker say that this is going to be a very divisive game, like, people will definitely not feel indifferent towards it. My God, that was an understatement. And the game isn't even freaking out yet. I just hope that regardless of what it ends up being like, again, I'm not going to lie about my thoughts once we get there, but I just hope that at the end of the day, the good outweighs everything else. But we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we're going to have to see. It's a touchy subject, and it's murky, and we still got some time left to wait for the game to come out. Oh, God, I hope I didn't just destroy my mic there, but... yeah, we have Darkland22. You say MBG, aka Morty, LOL. Would it be game over for Xbox if PS5's compatibility with PS1, 2, 3 and announce a Silent Hill game? Yes. I don't want to say game over, but my God, like if that's one of the things that Sony announces at this event is full backwards compatibility, which I'm not anticipating, but yeah, I mean at that point you'd probably hear Morty be like, I don't know, Rick. There's my Morty impression. That was probably cringy as shit, but you egged me on, and I did it. So that's all you're going to get from me. But honestly, dude, like, I do think that would be, alongside a Silent Hill announcement, that would be absolutely huge, but I'm not anticipating it. But I will say this. If they wanted to save... if somebody says no, yeah, I know. I don't even know if that was good or not, but I'm not practiced, so it's just a matter of time, guys. It's just a matter of time until I start saying some really stupid shit, some really cringy stuff that just makes people go, "Oh God, like, did he really just do that?" It's only gonna get worse from here on out, guys. But hey, it is what it is. But I will just say this to your point. Cringe, yeah. MVG Morty confirmed. Yeah. I joined when he did a Morty impression. Alright, I'm gonna head out. Yeah, God, that's gonna be in here after the fact too. That was a mistake. I'm never gonna live that down. But anyway, I feel like if there was a time for Sony, like, if they have something like super secret hidden and it's like absolutely huge, it would make sense for them to want to save that for the big event reveal, so that no matter what, no matter how the event goes down, people are going to be left with like, oh my god, like they did this, you know. So I don't know, guys, but maybe you guys can tell me, was that a good Morty impression? I don't know if it was. I've done it a few times before because, again, like, you're not the only one who said that, and I don't know, maybe I was just more comfortable doing it then, and some people were like, oh, it was actually pretty good, but I don't know. I feel like if that was just absolutely terrible. MBG, may I borrow your lawnmower? No, you can't borrow my damn lawnmower. I need to use it. But, David, MBG's Evil Morty confirmed. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've tried to do, like, impressions in the past, and they just never seem to work out. So, you know, me being the genius I am, I'm going to do them live on air while I'm doing my podcast. But anyway, guys, we are going to move on to, excuse me. We're gonna move on to the general game news. And as I was trying to say before I got totally derailed by the whole Morty thing here, I want to try to make this podcast a little bit more valuable in the eyes of people by always adding some, not everything. I can't keep up with everything. That's just too much. I can't stretch myself that thin. But by trying to, I see you guys saying it was good. All right, it was okay. Thanks. I appreciate that. As long as it wasn't like the worst ever, that's all I care about. But I want to try to, you know, keep you guys informed with some other stuff that's going on in the gaming industry. So I see somebody asking MVG was Sublime. So I don't know if it was Sublime, but hey, is Bloodborne 2 going to happen? I don't know. Like, why are you asking me like I'd know? If Bloodborne 2 is going to happen and I knew, you better believe I'd be the first one out here being like, guys, Bloodborne 2 is going to happen. But I don't know. I really don't know. But the first piece of game news is an interesting one. April's NPD report was released, and it seems that people being stuck inside actually translated to a lot more spending than usual within the gaming industry. April 2020 tracked spending across video game hardware, software, accessories, and game cards totaled $1.5 billion, 73% higher when compared to a year ago. This is what NPD analyst Matt Piscatella said. This is a new record high in reported spend for an April month, eclipsing the $1.2 billion generated in April of 2008. So definitely had to highlight that because, you know, even though there's a lot of not so great things going on around the world, there's something going on around the world that's ravaging it, but it seems to translate to it has a very positive effect apparently on gaming and the gaming industry. So definitely a silver lining there for people who, who are, into gaming and care about the health of the industry as a whole. So, it also says here, this has to do with the NPD report. I think you guys, those of you who are Final Fantasy fans, apparently Final Fantasy VII has done extremely well. Final Fantasy VII Remake was the best-selling game of April and instantly became the number 3 best-selling game year to date. This is also coming from Matt Piscatella. Final Fantasy VII Remake is currently the best-selling game of 2020 on the PlayStation 4. So, I guess my question to you guys is, I can't say I'm surprised by that. Will The Last of Us 2 actually outsell Final Fantasy VII? Will The Last of Us 2 become the number 1 best-selling game on PlayStation 4, this year? And an even better question, which I think is a more interesting one, will Ghost of Tsushima be able to match that or surpass it? But good news for Final Fantasy VII, no doubt. Square Enix's massive reimagining of the PlayStation Classic is also setting new highs for the franchise. Final Fantasy VII Remake sets a new launch month Final Fantasy franchise sales record in both units and dollar sales, said Piscatella. Both records were previously held by, I think that's Final Fantasy 15, which launched in December of 2016. And when it comes to hardware, for those wondering about how many units the Xbox, PS4, and Switch are selling, hardware is doing phenomenal as well. The Nintendo Switch 2020 is the fastest pace of any hardware in history, and it also breaks the Wii record of highest April sales of all time. This is coming from Benji Sales. So essentially, the Nintendo Switch, as of right now, based off of all the data we have, is actually the fastest selling in history. Like it's on pace to outsell everything if it keeps up this pace, which is mind-blowing to say the least. So whether or not it's going to have the same type of legs that the PlayStation 2 did or the PS1, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. PlayStation 4 and Xbox One also gain over 160% year over year, and each break their own current gen record sales for April. So it's not just the Switch that is experiencing tremendous growth, but we also have, because of everything that's happening right now with this virus in the world. MBG, can I borrow your mom's lawnmower? No, I don't even think my mother has a lawnmower. And so, it's just nice to see that there is some type of silver lining here, and I'm going to assume that obviously all three companies are very happy to see this, but I'm going to assume that considering how well the PS4 sold, Sony's probably feeling pretty good to see that, considering there really hasn't been a price drop, honestly, like a significant one. They're probably feeling pretty good that, our hardware's still going strong. Maybe they can hit that 120, maybe even 130 million when it's all said and done. We'll have to see about that. But moving right along here, Sony's annual Days of Play is kicking off on June 3rd, and it will be lasting until June 17th. You'll be able to get great deals on the PS4, the PS4 Pro, PSVR, a bunch of games, accessories, and PlayStation Plus. I'm not going to go into all the details of what exactly that consists of, but you can go look that up and check it out, and just be aware it's lasting between June 3rd and June 17th, which probably is around the same time that Sony's going to have their big event. So Siler18, I hope I'm saying your name right, but Siler18 saying with the release of the T-Virus, it really showcases the strength of digital sales. Even Modern Warfare 2 sold around 3 million units. Yeah, that is one thing that I don't know if I mentioned it, but apparently, I think this is maybe from last week we learned about it, but digital sales on the PlayStation 4 eclipsed like 51%, so it actually, it took up more so, it's basically an even split at that point, but more people than ever before, obviously, because of this. MBG, can I borrow a USB cable? No, you cannot borrow my USB cable. Come on, you can find a USB cable. It just, it seems to me that people are now buying digital games more than ever, and even I am, right? Because it's just, now more than ever, it's the convenience of it, and it just makes a hell of a lot more sense right now. I'm still all about physical, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. MH, you're saying, if only Nintendo could make a decent controller. Shots fired by MH. No comment on that one, buddy, but thank you for the super chats. Thank all of you guys for the super chats. When is NAC 3 coming? I think you can look forward to the announcement of NAC 3 at the upcoming PlayStation event in June. Moving right along here, Take-Two Interactive. I don't know why I'm talking like that, but Take-Two Interactive revealed some interesting information from their latest financial report. Red Dead Redemption 2 has shipped over 31 million units. Borderlands 3 has moved over 10 million units. NBA 2K20 has shipped over 12 million units. And GTA 5, get this, guys. Get this. MBG, can I borrow your old Xbox 360? I don't have it anymore. I got rid of that a long time ago. So if I had it, I'd say, yeah, sure, you can have it. But don't have it anymore. But get this, guys. You ready for this? GTA 5 has sold over 130 million units, making it the best-selling game in the last decade. Holy crap. I mean, the legs of this game, right? Insane. Absolutely insane. And I wrote down some more here. It says, on top of all that, Take-Two is saying that when it comes to new releases, they have the strongest pipeline they've ever had, but most of those games will not be releasing this year. They also highlight that they have some sequels in the works for some of their biggest franchises, as they put it, and they say fiscal year 2021 will be a light fiscal year when it comes to new releases, but that they have an array of titles that will launch in fiscal year 2022, and they expect that to drive sequential growth for that year. So what this basically tells us is that there's a good chance that we can expect GTA 6 to launch sometime between April 2021 and March of 2022. So again, fiscal year 2022, I think, is between April 2021 and March 2022. So it'll be a little while until we actually get GTA 6, but I just thought that this was relevant because, Take-Two, they've seemingly haven't really been trying to release a whole lot of games, or not as many as they used to, probably due to the success of GTA 5 and GTA Online. But in my opinion, it's encouraging to hear that they have the strongest pipeline ever, and it just sounds like maybe it's going to be a little while until we actually start to see those games released. But, going into next generation, we are going to see more, and I have a feeling GTA 6 is going to have to be one of them. So, MBG, when you reveal yourself, that would be bigger than the PS5 reveal. Would it? Maybe we'll do both on the same day. No, we're not. I'm not actually going to do a face reveal on the day of the PS5 reveal. But eventually, guys, eventually. True Witty, it's selling so much because of Micro. Yes, I agree. My voice is going yet again. I did bring my tea today, guys. I brought my tea, and I got honey in my tea, and yet my voice is still going. It's not as bad, though, I have to admit. It's not as bad. Let me take another drink here. We still have some more game news to go over here, but we are we're getting close to the end here, and as I hope you guys stick around because, as I always tell you, something I look forward to at the end is being able to interact with my chat directly for a little while. Danny, you're saying 100k subs, guys. Yeah, guys. I want to grow this channel obviously as fast as I can, but I'm really trying to use this time period with everything that's going on with the next gen consoles to really try to boost the channel as much as I can. And I try to create a community here, and I think it's going really well. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support. Devil Shooter, you're saying he already showed his face. Yeah, a long time ago. I went on camera. You can't find those videos anymore, at least as far as I know. But yeah, do an unboxing of your face. I don't think I could do that, man. I don't think I could do that. But MBG, can I borrow brown sugar? No, you can't. Okay, so this is an interesting one, guys. Apparently, Gears of War 3 was made for PlayStation 3, like a version of Gears of War 3 was made for PlayStation 3, and this started to circulate, and everybody was losing their mind saying, what the hell is going on here, right? And Epic Games actually came out, and they revealed that the reason for this is because they did this because they were testing Unreal Engine, apparently. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Who would have thought? Gears 3, playable on the PS3. Saying, MBG, I like your voice. Well, thank you. MBG, have you heard of Insurgency Sandstorm coming to console on August 25th? I did. I don't know if that's... I am a fan of modern military shooters, but isn't that one, super realistic? Like, one bullet kills? I don't know if I'd be into that, but who knows? Maybe I'll check it out. I don't know what I'll be playing in August, so we'll see. Actually, speaking of that, Mafia Definitive Edition has officially been revealed and is a complete remake from the ground up. It is releasing on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam. And that's going to be releasing on August 28th. And apparently it is going to come to the Epic Games Store, but at a later date. Mafia Remake is rebuilt from the ground up with an updated script, new dialogue and backstories, new cutscenes, new gameplay sequences and features, and it uses the Mafia 3 engine. Mafia 2 Remastered and Mafia 3, I believe, are already available. Now, Mafia 3 didn't really get a big remaster remake treatment, but I think Mafia 2 kind of got remastered. But, salute to MBG. God of War is magnificent. I agree, man. I'm really enjoying God of War right now. MBG, happy Sunday. Fine, sir. Do you think the idea of Spider-Man Definitive Edition sounds amazing? Imagine 60 FPS, native 4K, zero loading, and God rays lighting. One can wonder, right? Stay safe. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. You stay safe as well. And yes, I could see that. I think that'd be great. Press X to mow lawn. Yeah. Do your next podcast in the Morty voice. Yeah, I don't think I could do an entire podcast doing Morty voice, but I'll get more to the chat in a second, guys. Let's just finish this up. A new rumor, and this one's kind of funny to me. A new rumor Eurogamer. Actually, this doesn't stem from Eurogamer, but they confirmed a new rumor that the next Call of Duty game is going to be called, you guys ready for this? Brace yourselves. Ready. You guys ready? All right. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Yeah, that's right. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. That's the game. I don't know what the hell is up with that name, but you can clearly tell that Activision was going to make damn sure that they got the words Black Ops in there just because of brand recognition and how well it's going to sell just because of that. But I got to say, even though I am knocking the name, I am a longtime Call of Duty fan. I really fell off of it. I thought I would like Modern Warfare more than I ended up liking it. I haven't played it in quite some time. I think it was just too much of a departure. I'm really, really hoping this one's good. I'm not going to lie. I love the idea of a new Black Ops game being set in the Cold War era, spanning between like Vietnam and into the 80s potentially. Really, sounds like it's kind of going back to the original Black Ops, which I was a huge fan of. So, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. So, and this is another one I'm really happy to relay this news to you guys because I'm really happy for it. Developer From Software has announced that the Dark Souls franchise has passed 27 million units in sales since it first released in 2011. They also said that they hope fans are looking forward to their next game, Elden Ring, which I am... Dude, listen, I don't know if Microsoft or Sony is going to have the rights for Elden Ring. I feel like Microsoft does for some reason. I don't know if I'm wrong about that. But I got to say, I really hope we see Elden Ring soon. I don't care if it's at Sony's show or Microsoft's, although it would, in my opinion, be more exciting if it was on Sony's June event. But that is a game I'm very much looking forward to. And the Dark Souls franchise is easily one of my all-time favorites. Dark Souls 1 is one of my all-time favorite games ever. I had a huge impact in my gaming life. It's right up there with Metal Gear Solid. And games like The Last of Us, honestly, in terms of the impact it's had. And I'm just really happy to see they're celebrating such a huge sales milestone, and I really am excited for Elden Ring. I heard that apparently Elden Ring is basically going to be a spiritual successor to Dark Souls, so that has me interested. I never played Sekiro yet because I don't know why that just didn't interest me as much as the Dark Souls games. Bloodborne obviously is massive, but I'm excited for Elden Ring, guys. I really hope that we do see more of it soon. And at this point, I think it's safe to say it's going to be most likely a cross-gen game. I mean, who knows? Maybe it could be, maybe it could be a next-gen only game. But what I want to know, chat, answer this question for me, okay? Because I would love. I mean, it would be a sad day for sure, but I would just be so interested to know and see the reaction of people. So it seems like a lot of you here are also very excited for Elden Ring. How would you feel if the next time we saw Elden Ring was on Microsoft stage and it was announced that they struck a deal with Microsoft and it's going to be exclusive to the Xbox platform? How would you feel about that? Now, the only reason I'm mentioning this is because last I heard there was a rumor that apparently Microsoft struck some type of deal with a very well-known, prominent Japanese game studio and publisher, and they're going to have an exclusive game made for them for the Xbox platform. Now, I don't know, guys. Could you see that happening? I would be absolutely heartbroken, but I will tell you that it would do a good job in making me buy an Xbox Series X to play it. But how would you feel if that actually ended up happening? Somebody says you would cry. Yeah. That you said no. Listen, I'm not trying to be negative here or spell doom for the game or somebody's saying that's not possible. I mean, maybe it's not. I don't know if it is or not. I mean, you look back at Tomb Raider, that wasn't that announced as a multi-platform game, and then Microsoft stepped in and they agreed to it, and then they're like, okay, now it's going to be exclusive for a year or something like that. Well, they didn't announce that it was going to be a timed exclusive. At first, they tried to play it off as oh, this is just exclusive now. So, but yeah, that would be terrible. I'd be so sad for that. But the final thing I have to that would be great for Xbox fans. Yeah, they'd be over the moon for that, right? But also I gotta say this. I saw, this isn't written down, but I saw apparently it was revealed when it comes to Capcom, at least their last fiscal year or quarterly report or whatever, when it comes to the dividing of percentage-wise the game sales on each platform, apparently only 6% of Capcom's overall game sales, 6% came from the Xbox platform. Now, I saw that on, I think it was like the Hunter, somebody on Twitter. I think he keeps track of that stuff. And I was just like, what? Like, holy shit, that's low. 6%? I was taken aback by that. That's crazy. Like, if they just stopped putting their games on Xbox, would they even know any different? Like, I'm sure they'd see a small difference, but that just was insane to me. Anyway, final thing here. Rumors of a Daredevil game started to circulate after an exchange with Troy Baker and Marvel Games VP Bill Roseman. Roseman tweeted at Troy Baker calling him a man without fear, which is a phrase associated with Daredevil. This caused people to lose their minds, causing Bill Roseman to straight up come out and confirm that there is no Daredevil game currently in development. How unfortunate. So, who knows? Maybe he's lying, but I don't know. I think that maybe they were just trying to be funny and they didn't realize like they were causing a huge commotion by doing that. But sales don't matter, MBG. Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying like still that's insanely low. Like that is insane how low that is. But anyway, guys, we are towards the end of the podcast now, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time interacting with the chat exclusively here. We got through all the topics. I hope you did enjoy it. I want to ask you guys right now, we still have over 1,200 people here still hanging out with me watching. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. I would love if we were able to somehow get over 1,000 likes by the time this podcast is finished. But if we can't get to that, let's just get as close as we possibly can, maybe 800, 900 likes. You guys are helping me grow this podcast to a new level, and I literally couldn't do it without you guys. And when I started it, you know, obviously I had the aspiration of I want this podcast to grow and become bigger, but it really just surprised me how quick the growth has been, and we get really great numbers here, and I can tell that we've grown a pretty awesome community here, and we do get the trolls from time to time, and I don't mind the trolls, honestly, the ones that aren't too egregious, but I just want to thank you guys for your continued support here, and I couldn't do this without you. We had True Witty, you're saying Xbox games don't sell no more, and Game Pass doesn't help. I don't know about that, True Witty. I don't know. I don't have the data in front of me to be able to confirm or deny that, but Troy Baker is everywhere? Yes. Yes, he is. MBG, I appreciate your transparency with you, with why you cover the topics you do. Just ignore noobs asking why you do this, or or just do you, man. Great content speaks for itself. You can provide it. Thank you. I appreciate that. MBG cures my depression. Well, awesome. I mean, I don't know how true that is, but if it's true, then I'm glad I could help out in such a significant way. You are the best, MBG. Thank you guys. I really thank you guys for that. You're making me blush over here. MBG, can I borrow some yeast? No, I don't have yeast, man. Like, I can't give you yeast. I don't know why people continue to ask me this weird stuff. That's going to be a new thing. MBG, can I borrow this? MBG, can I borrow that? And the day of shock is going to come when I actually say yes to somebody. But MBG, can I borrow your R2 button? No. MBG, I think this channel is way bigger if you stayed legit to Microsoft and just add the PS Love. I don't know. I mean, keep in mind, Jay, like, I do plan to, if you wonder why when I talk about Xbox these days, it's just not in a very exciting way. It's because, like, I haven't seen anything yet that gets me excited. Like, Hellblade 2, perfect example. Like, dude, I'm going to cover that game because I'm excited as hell for Hellblade 2. I'm excited as hell for Hellblade 2. Yeah, I'm very excited for Hellblade 2. And, and when I see other Xbox games that really get me excited, like, honestly, the next Forza Horizon game, I'm super excited for that whenever we see that because I loved Forza Horizon 4. It was fantastic. But right now, just, look at the games that PlayStation is releasing right now, and we're about to get the PS5 event. Like, it's hard not to just focus on that. But make another channel, MBG, ASMR, maybe one day. iSiler18, once again, you're saying, have I heard anything about The Last of Us 2 multiplayer lately? Unfortunately, I don't know much about it. Like, I haven't heard anything of significance. I will say, and I don't think anybody will consider this a spoiler. One of the things that apparently leaked out with the Last of Us footage is there was literally like a 15-second clip of what looked to be a very early build, and it looked janky as hell. It looked super early build of what looked to be factions mode in running in the Last of Us 2 engine. Now, that's the last thing I saw. I think it's still going to happen. So, MBG, can I borrow your attention to sign off in style? There you go. Now you can sign off in style. So you got my attention. MBG, get us on a live panel. Who's excited for the Xbox July event? 6 to 8 new cartoony IPs focused on multiplayer. Classic Xbox. Ouch. Going in hard on Xbox there. MBG, can I use your bathroom? No, you can't. MBG, are you a PlayStation 5 fan or an Xbox Series X fan? I will let you decide that. See, MBG, what percentage chance do you think the Silent Hill rumors are true? I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'm 99% sure they're true. I'm 99% sure we are going to see Silent Hill really announced. Now, I understand I put Silent Hill in the thumbnail on this podcast, and I just now realized I barely talked about it. I apologize for that, but I always feel like I have to have some gaming character. I don't know. I just feel like this was the most relevant one because this is, we're probably going to see it. I believe it. MBG, can I borrow your attention? Watch the Cherno on PS5 and the Unreal Engine 5. I did watch the Cherno, his reaction to Mark Cerny's deep dive talk, and I'm waiting for the other parts. You can clearly tell that he's pretty impressed so far by what he's hearing. He really liked it, and he's a developer, so it was for him. Gabriel Rudolph, you're saying, MBG, you should keep the music in your daily videos, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm trying. See, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know what to do. See, you're saying, MBG, I really appreciate your content, man. Keep it up, my dude. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. MBG, can I borrow your car? No. When it comes to music in my videos, I don't know what to do. Because I don't know, like me personally, I don't like having like those beats in the background of my videos. Like I don't like, but that's just me. Cause I'm like, for me personally, when I watch content and I hear somebody talking, like I don't want to hear any music in the background. It's just distracting to me, but I know a lot of other people don't feel that way. So I always feel hesitant in putting music in the background. Something I tried recently, but it seemed to have confused people, is I put the actual sounds of the PlayStation 4 menu and the 20th anniversary PlayStation 4 menu sounds in the background, and people actually thought that I had my PlayStation on in the background, but I thought that maybe that's more fitting. So I don't know. When it comes to music, I don't know what to do. I'm always so torn about it. I feel like maybe sometimes I will have music, other times I won't. But MBG, can I share my opinion with you, please? Yes, go ahead, FreezeVamp. Feel free to do that. I'll try to keep up with it. But yeah, when it comes to the music, I really just don't know what to do. MBG, do you think... MBG, get rid of the border screen. My brand new TV will have the mad screen burn on it. I apologize for that. I didn't actually think about that. Do modern day TVs still get that though? Is that something that happens with like OLED? I'm very sorry about that, but I don't know. I didn't really consider that when coming up with the border screen. But you know what I will do, actually? Maybe in order to save that, I know it's been up pretty much the whole time. You're saying go with ambient music. MBG, do you watch anime? I do not watch anime. The only anime I've ever really watched was Cowboy Bebop. MBG, do you have change for a 20? No, I don't, man. Don't really carry cash too often. What I can do is I will put my my channel member credit roll up one more time. All I see is MBG. MBG, your content has gotten better and better this last year. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you notice it. MBG, show yourself sometime. Maybe eventually. Casper, you say yo. I say yo. What's up? Do you like fighting games? Yeah, I like them until I realize that I suck at them, and then I stop liking them so much. MBG, can you lend me your controller? No, I can't right now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe one day I'll do some kind of like weird giveaway. I feel so arrogant for saying this, but it just sounds so dumb. But I don't, I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say like, oh, one day maybe I'll do like a signed controller that I could give away, but I'm like, a signed controller, like who the hell wants my signature? Like, no offense to anybody who may want that. I'm just saying I feel really arrogant for saying that, but you just got me thinking like, and maybe just give something away in the future, like a piece of merch in the future, a game, something. I don't know. I'll have to look into doing giveaways. Danny Diablo, you're saying MBG, are you a fan of Mafia? Favorite character and part? Honestly, I can't tell you because I haven't ever played the Mafia games. However, I can tell you that I am excited to potentially play the remake. So, yeah. MBG, have you seen my girlfriend? I know you're setting me up there, but the answer is no, I have not. MBG, what's your favorite game of all time? Give me that MBG signed controller, says Mr. Hamster. Yeah, dude, maybe one day. My favorite game of all time, that's tough. I mean, one of the Metal Gear games maybe, Dark Souls, The Last of Us, Bloodborne, they're up there. MBG, I want a signed controller. Yeah, maybe we could do that in the future or something, I don't know, or we could do like signed merch or something like that. Wait, I apologize. This guy said to me, dude, my screen, you're gonna burn this stuff onto my screen, and I'm like, oh, let me fix that for you. And all I did was just put this up. I meant to make this full screen, so sorry about that. Even though you can still get screen burn to the left here, but at least it changed it up a little bit. Anyway, MBG, do you stream on Twitch? No, anytime I stream on YouTube. MBG, do you have a 4K or 8K TV to go with your new next-gen console? I do have a 4K TV. MBG bathwater? I don't know, maybe. Maybe one day. Wait. MBG, you should give away some silence sometime. Okay, saying MBG, I just finished playing the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection and it was amazing. Can't wait to play Uncharted 4. Hell, PlayStation. Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. An MBG signed hamster. Yeah, Mr. Hamster, I'm going to send you an MBG signed hamster. There you go. MBG, are you good at shooters? I used to be better. I've kind of stopped playing shooters so much. I play a lot of PUBG still, which I'm starting to hate. Like, I've played PUBG so much, I kind of am starting to hate it now. I'm really hoping Sony has a solid multiplayer game at the launch of the PS5, because I need to get my multiplayer fix somewhere, and I definitely ain't going to get it with Fortnite. Or at the very least, I hope, Call of Duty's good this year. Oh my god, I'm not reading that one. Jesus. MBG, you should try Maneater. Yeah, I don't know. I've been recommended that, but I don't know. I'm pretty picky with the games I play these days. I don't know why. MBG, I'm still waiting on that workout video. Yeah, that's a throwback to the original when the channel very first started. I legitimately filmed myself working out at the gym, and I put some background metal music. It was actually kind of cool. I liked it, but I don't know why. I don't know. I guess I don't know what my intention was. I don't know. People would be interested. I don't think that'll ever happen again. I don't know when the hell the next time I'm going to the gym is, though, guys. So, I don't know. MBG, what's your opinion on Horizon Zero Dawn? I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. I thought the combat was very unique. And obviously the robot dinosaurs, where you don't really see them anywhere else. So I enjoyed it. See what else you guys are saying. MBG, will you finish Detroit Become Human? The story's amazing. Actually, dude, that's funny you asked that. I totally forgot about that game. I totally forgot I started playing that game and just didn't finish it. I will have to get back to it at some point. Have I seen the ex-EA dev reacting to the PS5 specs, the Turner? Yes, I have. And I'm looking forward to watching the rest of his reaction. MBG, are you excited about Halo Infinite multiplayer? No, I never got into Halo, man. It was just it was a series I just never got into. I tried to, and it just didn't stick with me. MBG, who do you think will reveal their console price first? I think Microsoft will. I think Microsoft will reveal it first. What do I think about Cyberpunk 2077? I think I'm super hyped for it, and Keanu Reeves is a huge reason I'm excited for it. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a great game, but seeing Keanu Reeves in a game, I mean, that's going to be awesome. A modern-day game, yeah. Edward Jordan, MBG, create a community on PS4 for photo mode clips. Yeah, maybe I'll look into doing that. Maybe I could make an official like MBG community on PS4. That'd probably be smart. Freeze Ramp, you're saying my message has been skipped. Sorry, buddy. I'm trying my best to keep. It's I can't get to everybody, but I'll try. If you keep typing in, I'll try to get to it. Sorry about that. MBG, how many platinums do you have? I think I have like 10 or 11. 10? Yeah, I think I have 10. What did I think of Horizon Zero Dawn story? I thought it was very interesting. I thought it did a good job keeping me hooked and wanting to, like, I really want to learn what happens next in this world and in this story. MBG, do you MBG? I don't know. That one kind of confuses me. Have I played Doom Eternal? I'm asking because you're confident. I have not, actually. I've not played Doom Eternal. I've heard good things. MBG, do you want to go to Japan? No, I have no desire to go anywhere right now. How do I feel about the Telltale games? I've actually enjoyed them. I've enjoyed the Telltale games. I enjoyed, what was the one I enjoyed most? I think it was, I'm forgetting the name of it. It's the one with the fairy tales. I know you guys know which ones. I played the Batman ones, though. I played Walking Dead, which was good. MBG, what's your first PlayStation? My first PlayStation was a PlayStation 1. Yep. Believe it or not. I'll never forget those days. MBG, Neo or John Wick? Neo all the way, man. I love Neo. I love The Matrix. So, Neo all the way. MBG, I won't buy a PlayStation 5 only if they add more classic remastered games by Bluepoint for PlayStation 5. I can't wait for the Sky Blue color console. Yeah, dude, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I kind of get what you're saying there, but do you think the console is going to be Sky Blue? We'll see about that. When do I think the PS5 will come out? I'm assuming you're talking about the event. I think it's going to happen June. What does MBG stand for? I get asked this literally every podcast, which is fine, but it stands for Muscle Bound Gamer. We'll go just a couple more minutes here, guys. Thanks for the content every day. Keep it up. One of the best channels. Well, thanks. I'm glad you appreciate it. Have I played Uncharted Lost Legacy? No, I haven't yet. I don't know. I'll have to maybe get around to that at some point. Do I think God of War has the best graphics this gen on console? It's pretty damn close to it. Yeah, it's really impressive. Makes my PlayStation 4 sound like it's about to take off every time, though. But it's very impressive. All right, Freeze Vamp. Thanks for showing up. When do I think... what's my favorite PlayStation studio? I don't know, man. That's tough. I don't know. I'm very impressed with... I've been impressed with God of War, but I think Sony Santa Monica is like... I don't know. Like, I'm actually wondering if The Last of Us 2 can top God of War. I know that sounds crazy, but I guess maybe Santa Monica Studio. Also, Insomniac is awesome. I love them. I like all the studios. Sucker Punch, all of them. Sony Bend, I was impressed with Days Gone. So, MBG, do you think Sony could add PS3 backward compatibility to the PS5 this last month before launch? I don't know. I mean, if they were, they'd probably have to be like, oh, we're working on this now, and we hope to have it ready. But, Solid Crusader, you're saying any update on PlayStation 5? The only update I have for you guys, it came from Twitter, from Tidix, which he's saying that we're going to be getting... What? Hold on. I just checked his Twitter now, and I just saw something that looked completely ridiculous to me. And Uncharted 2 is trending. See, this is what happens when I do this podcast, guys. I'm disconnected from Twitter, and there's big stuff going on, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but we'll do this live before we end it. First, let me see why Uncharted 2 is trending. Okay. It's because PlayStation asked, what is the most impressive video game sequel? Okay. Man, maybe I do need to play the original Uncharted games, but let me see. Tidix put out something. I gotta find it here, guys. Give me a second, and I'm very interested to see what he said, because he said something about the PS5 price. Oh, okay. I read that totally wrong. I read his latest tweet as, and yeah, the PS5 will cost $650, but he actually said it will not cost $650. He said my guesstimate, or his guesstimate, is $450 to $500. Okay. Had me panicking there for a second. I was like, what? Like, there's no way. But yeah, that's pretty much the biggest update I have. I mean, if you believe Tidix, he's saying that he's hearing from quite a few people that next week there will be some big PlayStation 5 related news, and that the event is going to follow 7 to 10 days after that. So guys, get hyped. It's happening. It's happening very soon, and I honestly can't wait. Like, I'm very excited for the conversations we're going to be having next week, because I think there's going to be a lot going on. So, God, my voice, man, what the hell? Every week with this. I need more tea. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much all I have to say today. We went over all of our topics. Oh, I guess I should say this too. I'm probably going to do another separate video on Ghost of Tsushima. I did one video on it, and one of the things we focused on, and people seem to be confused about this, is that apparently people were under the impression that when I said, I went over the information that Ghost of Tsushima is going to be between 40 and 50 hours long. People interpreted that's how long it's going to take to beat like just the main game. That's not what that meant. They're talking about like all the content put together that they have on offer in the game. It could take you anywhere between 30 and 50 total hours. Like, you could easily invest that much time into it. So I don't know why I'm choosing to clear that up 2.5 hours into my podcast, but I don't know. I guess I just figure I'd let everybody here know who is still hanging out with me. So that is going to do it, guys. I want to thank everybody so much for taking time out here to hang out with me and listen to me rant and listen to me talk about these topics. And again, you guys have really elevated this podcast to another level. I literally couldn't do it without you, so thank you. Make sure as you head out, you hit the like button. Again, I would love to try to get to 1,000 likes by the time this podcast is coming to a close. But if we can't, the closest we can get is maybe 800-900. That's awesome as well. Either way, I'm thankful for all the likes. I'm thankful for all the support. Thank you guys for all the super chats, all the new members, those of you who just continually show your support here on the channel, watch the videos. Thank you guys. I see, Ethan, you're saying, MBG, that you are Norman Reedus' Instagram. I think you might be referring to that video I made a long time ago. Well, it's not that long ago, but like almost half a year ago, where I was talking about Death Stranding and how a reviewer seemingly let it slip that he thinks it was like one of the best games ever made. That's what you're talking about. I did see that, and I was actually pretty shocked by that. He was sure to hide my name, though, which is fine. Like, I mean, it's Norman Reedus, for God's sake, I'm sure he doesn't want to associate himself with me, but that was awesome to see. It was just crazy to think, wow, Norman Reedus actually watched and listened to my video about Death Stranding. Couldn't believe that, but thank you guys so much. And so, yeah, we'll be back here next week, next Sunday. Again, if anything were to ever change, I will let you guys know ahead of time. But, we'll be back here with the next episode 17 of Press X Podcast. And I have a feeling, guys, that we are going to have a hell of a lot to talk about. Maybe I'm just getting myself overly hyped, but I think we're going to have a hell of a lot to talk about during next week's podcast. So look forward to it. Look forward to the content coming up this week. And until next time, guys, take care.